but I don't know what's
Hello everyone and welcome to another Sovereign Citizen Watch. How's everyone doing? I just got off a 9-hour shift, so I might be a little disheveled, but I'm still streaming today, so take it or leave it. How's it going, chat? Hope you're doing well. We have some Sovereign Citizen weirdness to take a look at today, up to and including our friend Delete Laws finally filing his, what I would consider to be a frivolous lawsuit against Judge Ann Zimmerman, so we'll get into that. We're gonna go on a short walk with Marcel in his neighborhood, so that'll be good. Should be good. And plus, you know, traffic stops and stuff. You know how Sovereign Citizen Day goes. Let's take a look at what's going on in chat. Hello, Nemesaur. How's it going? Mr. Blast, what's up? Homoerotic Race Car. I always liked your name. I don't know if I've ever said that. Kokomo Crazy with 7 months of subscribership says, another stream and another subiversary. Well, here's to hopefully many, many more to come. Indeed. Thanks for continuing your support. Stonecore Bell with the 7 stream streak says, yo. Wish I had a yo-yo. Amber, what's up? If you're on YouTube, do me a favor and like the stream. A thumbs up helps, as Delete Laws would say. Just double tap it. I guess if you're on your phone, I guess that works, or something. So anyway, if you want to support the stream, you can always gift subs or subscribe. There's a promotion on Twitch right now where if you gift 2 subs, I think you get a month of Crunchyroll for free. So if you like anime, there's always that. I do think that only applies where I am live, which is fine, because people don't usually gift subs on VODs anyway, understandably so. Alright, all that bullshit's out of the way, let's jump into it. Let's find some stuff. You could learn yo-yo tricks. Would you be shocked to know I already do know yo-yo tricks? At the same time I learned to juggle, I got into yo-yoing, and I learned a bunch of yo-yo tricks. But that's harder to show on stream. What, am I gonna get a special yo-yo camera for a fucking wide shot to show me fucking shooting the moon? No. My parents were alcoholics that moved us out into the middle of nowhere. What else was I supposed to do? I just watched movies and learned useless skills. You actually get a Crunchyroll? You get an anime service, which to me sounds dreadful, but some people seem to like anime for some reason. Need a tracking camera to follow the yo-yo zone? Did yo-yo salespeople come to your school? Oh my god, they did! What was that? What was that? Why did yo-yo salespeople come to schools? Did the schools get paid for that? Was it an ad in school? Or did they somehow scam schools into thinking like, oh yeah, you let us come and talk about yo-yos, and it's like, it helps hand-eye coordination. Like, did they trick schools into thinking that was anything other than an ad? Yeah! Yo-yo salespeople came to our fucking school! Jump rope people in elementary school. The fuck? Anyway, we can move on from weird yo-yo remembrances. Let's see what we're doing first. I don't know if we want to start with Delete Laws. Maybe we'll start with a traffic stop. And the book salespeople, hey, At least the Scholastic Book Fair was fun, and reading has something to do with school. Yeah. MH Dark Beast says, sent something for my 3-stream streak. Where was it? Oh, what do you think of the Barbie dolls I sent you? Feel free to share. Yeah, you did send me that. I got that when I was at work today. Yeah, it's Doctor Who Barbie dolls. I'm not a Barbie fan. Like, I probably would have liked them as, you know, a kid if I was allowed to play with them as a kid. Dolls don't do it for me, but hey, good for Doctor Who. All right, let's jump into this first.
You can leave, ma'am.
Yeah. So,
can I see your driver's license?
I don't have a driver's license.
We just came to my house.
Okay. Do you have any form of ID on you, sir?
Started as part of the DARE program. You know what I can't believe was never a part of the DARE program? Do you remember the Transformers movie? And the song, Dare, dare to believe you can survive. The song is literally called Dare. How did the organization DARE never license that song? It's, like, perfect for them. Don't get me wrong, DARE was bullshit and probably did more harm than good, but, like, it would have been the perfect theme song. Anyway.
Okay, registration and insurance.
Is that the one Mark Wahlberg sings in Boogie Nights? No, that's The Touch. You've got the touch, dun, dun, dun. You've got the power. Same singer originally sang both of them for the Transformers movie, though, so easy mistake to make.
Are you the registered?
That's my insurance company.
Also, I will say, Boogie Nights is my favorite movie, as I think I've talked about before, and y'all know I've seen many, many movies, so I think my opinion holds some weight. One of my favorite scenes in that movie is Mark Wahlberg singing badly, which I think is probably hard for him, because he can sing. Dan Bush. Yes, that's his name. Toreador says there's another Dare to Something song from that movie I love. Dare to be stupid. Dare to be by Weird Al, yeah. Let's go. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do.
That's my registration.
Are you the registered?
Fun fact about Dare to be Stupid. Dare to be Stupid is a Weird Al parody song, but it's not a parody of any specific song. It's more of a genre parody, and it's parodying Devo. And one of the main guys in Devo heard Dare to be Stupid and was genuinely a little upset that they felt like Weird Al did a better Devo song than Devo. Which it is a good song.
Owner?
And I like Devo.
No.
What's your name, sir?
Huh?
What's your name?
What's your name?
Right here.
Where? Or Ramirez?
Eric Shadow says, I was watching your movie collection stream. Did the third part never get uploaded on YouTube, or did you just never? I definitely did that stream. I guess I don't remember why it didn't get uploaded. Maybe there was a copyright issue for some reason. Maybe I showed a video or something that I couldn't.
What's your first name?
It's right here, sir. There's an issue.
Did I commit a crime?
I told you committed a traffic violation.
That is not a crime where I come from. I work in common law. Okay.
He works in common law. That means the laws don't apply to him. Isn't that convenient? We live in a society, but this man says no. This man looks in the face of the Joker and he spits.
I'm not falling into your guys' jurisdiction. See that flag on your arm? Gold fringe? I don't play like that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, no, the captions can't be right. He did not call her French. Let me listen.
That is not a crime where I come from. I work in common law. Okay. I do not fall into your guys' jurisdiction. See that flag on your arm? Gold fringe? I don't play like that.
Okay.
I'm a sovereign American.
Gold fringe. He did not say French. He said gold fringe. As we've talked about before, sovereign citizens, for some reason, believe that the gold fringe on an American flag signifies admiralty court, and that secretly you are under an admiralty jurisdiction. That's not true. While often courtrooms do have gold fringe flags, it does not signify anything specifically. It's just one of the things in the flag code that American flags have as optional. They can have a gold fringe, or they can't. Like, they can be either. It doesn't make a difference. Often the gold fringe ones will be used in courts or for special events, because they look a little special, you know? Kind of gives a little pop to it. That's it. It doesn't signify anything. Yeah, it's decoration.
Are you failing to identify
You'll
yourself?
see it in parades and stuff sometimes. Again, it just kind of like borders the flag and makes it pop.
No, I'm not feeling to identify.
Yes, you are.
I just told you my name is Andrew.
You never told me your name, sir.
So my name is Andrew. It's on that piece of paper I gave you. Right there.
Oh yeah, I didn't preface with this. Before the filming started, she asked for his ID, and he handed over a piece of paper with what he claims is his name. Now, I assume he thinks he's making a clever point here, where he's like, what's the difference if I give you a state ID or this piece of paper? They both would have my name on them. Which is like a good own if you're an idiot, with no sense of how context changes the content of things. The reason that the piece of paper from the state counts is because it's not just the license. That license is connected to a database and files that prove who you are. It's not just a random piece of paper. So I know you're trying to make a point, but the point you're accidentally making is that you're a dipshit. Toreador says, yeah, I have a permit, opens it. This just says I can do what I want. Ron Swanson.
This says Brian Harris.
Right here.
It's his nom de bull.
Andrew.
Can I see that, please?
Yeah, you can. But I did not commit a crime, so I do not need to be detained. This is an illegal detainment. Alright.
There's no name on here but Andrew.
It is not an illegal detainment.
Okay.
What's your date of birth, sir?
My date of birth is not important because I did not commit a crime. Why am I being interrogated?
I'm interrogating you, sir.
Yes, I should not be. This is extortion.
Identification is not interrogation. You are supposed to identify yourself to the police in a traffic stop, and that includes your name and date of birth, typically.
Look, you can argue all you want.
Well, I'm not.
Are you gonna identify yourself?
I don't think I need to. I did. I told you my name's Andrew, and I gave you a piece of paper.
What's your last name?
I gave you a piece of paper with my name on it.
What's your last name, Andrew?
Why am I being?
I just told you.
I want to know if I committed a crime.
That's not, well, if you're failing to identify yourself,
I'm not
yes.
failing to identify myself because I gave you a piece of paper with my name on it.
What's your date
If you don't read it, that's your own fault.
What's your date of birth?
I do not have to answer any questions, and I don't answer any questions because I'm not.
Damn, I wish he did the sovereign citizen thing. I don't hear this as often, but they used to say something along the lines of, I don't know when my birth date was. I don't remember the day of my birth. I missed that one. That was fun.
Okay, I don't answer questions. Right? I just don't answer questions. I did not fail to identify myself. It's my identification's right there.
Robert on YouTube says, we have sovsits where I am. The police here are very aggressive, though. I wonder how they don't get stopped with their weird license plates. I mean, some of them probably just get lucky for a while in that a police officer doesn't get behind them and notice it. But also on top of that, this is entirely speculative. I don't know this to be a fact. I don't know cops. This is complete speculation on my part. It would not surprise me if sometimes cops got behind a sovereign citizen, saw the sovereign citizen plate, and went, I could pull this person over and deal with this, but it's going to take an hour of my day, and it's going to be the most frustrating thing I have to deal with all month. So I think some of them occasionally might just kind of go, I didn't see that. You know what I mean? Not saying that's right. It just wouldn't surprise me.
There.
020. Yeah.
Okay? So I did not commit a crime on these highways. That is not a brake light. That is a ticketable offense. That's a secondary offense. You can't pull me over for a light.
We're in Washington State.
That's a secondary offense.
Do you have a valid driver's license out of Washington?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I don't know.
So is that a no?
I don't know. That's what I said. I don't know.
Okay. Do you want to identify
Usually know if you have a driver's license.
yourself?
I
Last
don't-
chance. Yes or
I
no?
don't. I told you I'm a sovereign American working common law. I travel freely on the roadway in my private automobile.
Okay, Andrew.
That's what I do.
You still got to identify yourself. That's the law.
I did not commit a crime.
You are if you're failing to identify
I did not fail
yourself.
to identify myself. I
Tell
gave
me
you my
your
information.
Tell me
That's
your
all
date
I
of birth.
have. I do not need to answer questions.
DO27.
I did not commit a crime.
Check for Andrew associated to the vehicle.
So I did not commit a crime.
So would you rather go out in handcuffs?
I'm not going to go out in handcuffs because I didn't commit a crime.
Okay, at this point you're failing to identify
I did
yourself.
You actually actually don't need to have committed a crime to be handcuffed during a detention, necessarily.
I failed to identify myself. I gave you a piece of paper with my name
Like,
on
in
it.
this case, he's refusing to identify himself, so he's gonna get arrested. But just, like, to clarify, if anyone cares, you can be handcuffed and not under arrest.
And I told you my name is Andrew.
Okay, what's
That's
your last name?
identification.
You're not telling me your
I
last
don't
name?
need to answer those questions because I
Okay.
gave you the information.
Step out of your vehicle.
I did not commit a crime.
Step out of your vehicle.
I did not commit a crime.
Okay, Andrew.
I did not. No. Hey, you can't do that to me. You guys have weapons, and I don't feel safe in my life.
Andrew.
Exit the vehicle.
The whole "I don't feel safe for my life" thing is so interesting when sovereign citizens say it. You can tell that at some point they've noticed that cops do that, right? Cops will often use the excuse that they were afraid for their life to get away with certain actions that otherwise they might not, right? But sovereign citizens seem to think it works the other way around, and they can Uno reverse card that. That's not how that works. The cops, and this is terrible, I don't think the world should be like this, but I'm describing how the world is, not how it should be. Cops are allowed to make you afraid. Cops are allowed to scare you, and, like, you are allowed to feel threatened by the police when they're apprehending you. That's not illegal. Like, it's not... They're not gonna get in trouble for scaring you. You know what I mean? And they seem to think they will.
I feel unsafe for my life right now. I'm unsafe for my life right now.
Or force will be used.
Correct, you're allowed to feel... Yes, like, they are not concerned that you feel unsafe for your life. That is not even close to their priorities at all. I don't even think they give a shit at all.
For my life.
Andrew,
Exit
step
the
out of your
vehicle
vehicle.
now or force will be used.
I
Is he
didn't
under
commit a
arrest?
crime.
You are under arrest. Exit the vehicle
I
now.
did not commit a crime. What did I
Fail to
do?
identify
I did
yourself,
not
Andrew.
commit a
I
crime.
told
You
you.
guys have
Exit the
weapons.
vehicle or force will be used.
I'm in
Hey,
fear of
raise
my
your
life.
hands on or-
I'm in fear of my life right now.
You need to...
I'm in fear for my
Listen,
life right now.
What are you in fear of, sir?
I'm in fear because you guys have loaded weapons.
No,
and
nobody's pointing
you're
a
here
loaded
with loaded weapons. I can't defend myself.
All you...
I'm sorry, just this conversation happening while the laser sight kind of idles on his leg. Surreal, but also a little funny. That cop's a laser tag champ.
Ripped my door
all
open.
you
I did
need
not
to do
commit
is
a
follow
crime.
instructions,
I did
sir.
not commit a crime.
All you need to do
I
is
gave her
follow
my
instructions,
I gave
sir.
her my information. There's no reason.
You are
why
under
this
arrest.
escalated.
Exit the vehicle.
I didn't do anything
You're
wrong.
under arrest. Exit the vehicle.
I did not do anything
If
wrong.
you do not comply, force will be used, sir.
You can't use force. I
We
didn't do
absolutely
anything
can.
wrong.
You're under arrest.
What did I do wrong?
She's already explained
No, I
that
want
to
to know
you.
what I'm under arrest for.
Failure to identify yourself,
That's
sir.
not. I did not fail to identify myself, and you weren't here.
Andrew.
You were not here.
Sir,
I
exit
gave
the
her my
vehicle.
information.
Sir, you need to exit the vehicle now.
No, I did not. Hey, I'm not doing anything because I did not commit a crime. Help!
16.
Help!
Exit the vehicle
You guys-
now.
What does he think shouting for help is gonna do? Does he think someone's gonna come and be like, "I got you, bro," and they're gonna, like, punch the cops? What does he think's gonna happen? Also, the body language he just exhibited when he was yelling help, and then he was like, he's very agitated. Understandably, given the situation. It just happens to be a situation he got himself into, but he's, like, very agitated.
There's no reason.
You are
why
under
this
arrest.
escalated.
Exit the vehicle.
I didn't do anything
You're
wrong.
under arrest. Exit the vehicle.
I did not do anything
If you
wrong.
do not comply, force will be used, sir.
You can't use force. I
We
didn't do
absolutely
anything
can.
wrong.
You're under arrest.
What did I do wrong?
She's already explained
No, I
that
want
to
to know
you.
what I'm under arrest for.
Failure to identify yourself,
That's not.
sir. It's
I did
time
not fail to
fully
identify
apply.
myself,
I
and you
just
weren't
told you,
here.
Andrew.
You were not here.
Sir,
I
exit
gave
the
her my
vehicle.
information.
Sir, you need to exit the vehicle now.
No, I did not. Hey, I'm not doing anything because I did not commit a crime. Help!
16.
Help!
Exit the
You
vehicle
guys,
now.
no.
What was that? He like wipes his nose and then does like a little whoop, whoop. Like, what's that?
Loaded weapons. I'm in fear of my life. I'm in fear for my life because of you guys. You have loaded weapons and you're out here afraid to point them at me. I'm not getting out.
Nobody's
I'm in
pointing
fear
a
of my
loaded weapon at
life.
you. Sir, you're under arrest.
I'm in
Exit the
fear
vehicle
for
now.
my life. And I didn't do anything wrong.
You need to exit the vehicle, sir.
Don't. I did not do anything wrong. You guys, I'm going to do a tort claim and get your bond. Don't. Do not do that to me.
Hey,
I
you wanna
didn't
go on
commit
the
a
other side?
crime. I didn't commit a
You're
crime.
under arrest.
I did not commit a crime.
You are under arrest, sir.
No, that's breaking and entering into my car. I did not commit a crime. Knock it off. Don't. Do not commit a...
There it is.
You let me...
Okay, he gets it. Let it go. Jesus.
Get your arms out now. Get your
arms out
Get your
again,
arms
you're
out
gonna be
now.
tased again. Put your arms out to your sides.
Get your arms out. Hey, I got right arm. I got right arm. Left arm left.
Sounds like Ricky. I've never watched Trailer Park Boys.
Alright, right arm is secure. We just need to get a cuff on.
And Van Balian comes in his pants. Yeah.
Take your arm out. Oh, I can't.
Okay, hey, we need one person to cuff. We need one person to cuff. Let go of my finger, Andrew. I will break your wrist. Do not grab my finger again.
I'm not doing this
Start on the easy one. That's right there. I got him. His arm is not going anywhere. Here. Take a breath. You're good. This one. This one. Nearest to you.
I have injuries from a motorcycle accident.
Jesus, is he still resisting too?
You guys are fucking him up. Ow. God damn it.
That's my hand. That's my hand.
Like, it looks like they're still struggling to like get his arms in position. Wow.
You need to stop grabbing my hand, Andrew.
Help. Pat him down. Pat him down. Andrew. Help. We're going to put you in a recovery position so you can breathe, okay? Are you going to continue to cooperate? Oh, you guys fucked me up. Roll towards me. Tuck your knees up by your chest. Hit me with that thing again, please. Then tuck your knees up to your chest, sir. And relax. I have injuries from a motorcycle accident right there. Then tuck your
You were
knees
given an
towards your
opportunity to
chest.
comply. You chose not to, sir.
Relax. Roll it.
There's kind of priority. Hey, where are the probes so I can document them and then...
It's on that side.
Yeah, they're on the
Right
other
side.
side.
On the left side.
I've always wondered with the like probes that go in for the stun gun, how bad those hurt. Because like, are they? I assume they're not just like straight, right? Because they gotta stick in there. Do they have like barbs on the end or anything? Do those hurt like a motherfucker to pull out?
You really should have done that.
Why don't you go get cleaned up, Sarge?
They're barbed.
Pressure on him.
Oh my god, you just fucked my head up.
I can't hear you.
Go grab it, kid.
Yeah.
I had a fractured skull and you guys just slammed me on the fucking concrete. Wait, Miranda. I did not do anything wrong, you guys. This is asinine. You're under arrest.
They don't need to hit skin for the electricity to be transferred. Oh, so can it like just hook into like your pants? I guess as long as the metal was contacting you. I don't know. All right, moving on. Hey, probably not a good idea to do sovereign citizen stuff. It doesn't seem for that guy. Let's do the delete laws video, but I do want to point out he keeps doing these cringe-ass thumbnails where it's him, like, pointing his finger at the camera like a gun because he's trying to look badass. I just thought that was funny. So I guess take note of how hilarious this middle-aged man is, thinking he's a badass. Just a Peach with a $1 tip says, I remember working in retail and there being a book at the registers that show an example of an ID we accepted. The only one that could not have a picture was a Merchant Marine ID. New ones had pics in 2000. I think the issue with that guy was he didn't even have an ID. I think he was trying to show insurance or something? Anyway, hasn't he been doing that for a while? He has. It's not new, but he's like done it 3 videos in a row, and it just stuck out to me as particularly funny when you see how contrived it is. 3 things right next to each other. Once it's pretty cringe. Seeing him do it in a contrived way, right across the board, hilarious. Rule of threes. Literally. That's not the rule of threes. Yeah, I know.
There in the land of the unfree America. There is...
So you guys know that Delete Laws went to jail for about 4 months, got let out after 4 months on appeal. He was supposed to serve 6 months, but got out early again on appeal. He is now attempting to sue Judge Zimmerman, the judge that initially put him in jail and sentenced him to 6 months. I assume it's not going to go well. But I didn't think he was going to get out on appeal either. So who knows what's going to happen in this crazy-ass world. Let's see what insane things he has to say.
A gigantic weight off of my foot, off of my chest. We have sued the biased and unprincipled Judge Ann Zimmerman. We have sued her ass. She has been sued. you know,
How do you just sue someone's ass? Toreador says modern taser pistols fire a plastic sabot with 2 small barbed tips. They're small, about the size of a fish hook, and are set back in the sabot so they don't go in terribly far, if at all. The sabot falls away very easily, but it can use as a white block that falls away after impact.
unfortunately, we also had to sue Michelle.
Can you sue individual judges? Typically, no. Typically, they're covered by, like, you can't sue judges personally for decisions they make on the bench in their official capacity, generally. He's trying to go after her from some sort of civil rights violation standpoint that would exempt this typical, like, judicial, immunity, basically, in her case. Again, I don't necessarily think that's gonna work, but I'm not a lawyer. Who knows? He is trying to sue the other judge, too, that let him out of jail. He is suing the judge that put him in jail and the judge that let him out on appeal. So that's fun. Sabo, the T is silent. Alright, thank you.
Levitt, the judge who ultimately set me free from incarceration on First Amendment grounds, we sued her on a Monell claim based on my lack of due process from my 5th and my 14th Amendment. Double tap that screen, y'all. We have sued Ann Zimmerman. She has been sued. So Ann, I'm sure that Ann, because she must have become obsessed with me. You know, she must have watched 100 of my...
The projection. He has talked about her in so many videos since he went to jail and since he got out. He doesn't shut up about her, but he projects that onto her and assumes she must be obsessed in the reverse. That's not how anything works.
Videos before she walked into that courtroom.
Hannah, not a lawyer, but then how do you have a lawyer costume? Rule 1 of lawyers and judges, this is a judge outfit, not a lawyer outfit. Sorry, I had to take that shot too.
Right? How many hours, you know, and that's the thing. That's the thing I wonder. How many hours of my videos did she sit there and binge watch like a hater? You guys remember?
We don't know she watched any large portion of it. She is aware you produce videos because that was the context of the case in which you were filming a video. She saw that video as an exhibit in the case. I don't know why he thinks she went home and sat and did like a marathon, binged his videos.
They did that study on Howard Stern in the late 1980s, early 1990s. They studied who watched the most Howard Stern, and it was the people that hated him the most. So how many hours?
I find that very hard to believe. It's not impossible, but I do find that to be suspect. You're telling me that the primary audience of something is people who hate it? That would be like saying, like an equivalent maybe to the shock jock from the 90s is someone maybe like Joe Rogan, right? Imagine if someone said most of the audience of Joe Rogan is hate watching it. I'm sure some percentage of people who watch Joe Rogan hate watch it, but to say it's the primary audience is just insane.
Put in the comment section for me if you would. How many hours of my footage do you think the unprincipled and biased Ann Zimmerman watched? How many hours of my content do you think she watched? Double tap on that screen. Double tap. Hit your fingers. Bow, 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 bow. That hits the like button. Just whap that thing real quick because I will run out of service soon. And when I run out of service, I'll stay on as long as I can. But as soon as I hit the high desert, I'm going to run out of service 100%. For sure. For sure. How many hours do you think Ann Zimmerman...
the primary audience for Sov sits? I would say that's a different thing. It's kind of like a train wreck. The primary audience of train wrecks is people who are rubbernecking. This is the equivalent of rubbernecking, but with jokes, sometimes.
Watched my content. And listen, I'll be honest with you. It took me a really long time to get my head on straight, to get my bearing for exactly what happened and what went down, and how I ended up in a dungeon, an absolute dungeon. And then...
Not just a dungeon, an absolute dungeon, okay? If it's not from the correct region, it's just sparkling jail.
And today, when I went to sue, so here's the thing. When I go to the federal building, as soon as I walk into the federal building, as soon as I walk in the front door of the federal building, they assign an escort to me. I swear to God. Any federal building I go to in these United States of America, I guarantee you, any federal building I go into, they then send an escort to take me to do whatever business I'm gonna do in the federal building. So, and by the way, most federal marshals that I've met, and I've been in, I don't know, maybe a dozen federal
How many federal marshals have you met? That's interesting.
buildings. Most federal
You know
marshals.
how many federal marshals I've met, to my knowledge? Zero. I've never had a reason to be in contact with federal authorities.
I've met were prior cops, prior police officers, right? So they assigned, when I went to go sue the corrupt, biased, and unprincipled Ann Zimmerman,
Well, listen to all those adjectives. Do you think he's maybe a little mad at her?
when I went to go sue her, when I walked in the door, they assigned a marshal to me. So when he escorted me to the filing to file the federal civil rights lawsuit against Ann Zimmerman, I'm going to keep saying it so that
Oh, I should also point out, obviously, he did a bunch of fundraising to file this lawsuit, because of course Chili doesn't spend any of his own money on his ridiculous lawsuits. He tells his audience to give him money to file these frivolous lawsuits that aren't going to go anywhere. I don't know if he actually did a GoFundMe, but he was soliciting donations, basically, outside of the courthouse. I think he was begging people for money. Like, hey, send me money so I can sue this judge. Pretty pathetic, if I'm being honest. He did over 2 hours of that, pretty much. But that's boring, so I don't want to watch that.
the
Hats off. Phoenix, what do you want me to wear for the hats off? Oh, the kitty ears. Okay, get it.
algorithm of Google will pick it up and it'll go on the pages of Google, and she will be branded as someone who violated someone's civil rights. Anyway, sorry about that.
What? Is he... What the fuck is he talking about? He thinks he's gonna fuck up her Google SEO? What?
OCD will pick it up. When I walked in the door, they assigned a marshal to me. So when he escorted me to the filing to file the federal civil rights lawsuit against Ann Zimmerman, I'm going to keep saying it so that the algorithm of Google will pick it up and it'll go on the pages of Google. And
Oh wow, he doesn't know how anything works, does he? That's not how anything... He thinks that if he thinks I said right now, if I really like spent a lot of time going like this is a bit. I am not saying this is literally true. This is not defamatory because it's not true. I'm doing this for a bit. So he thinks if I sat here and said, delete laws, Chili DeCastro is into diaper porn. He loves to spend all of his time watching diaper porn and soiling his adult diapers for sexual gratification. He thinks that Google would somehow pick up on that and like turn it into like a Wikipedia article? I don't know what he thinks Google's role is in the internet. He seems to think it creates information? I'm not sure.
she will be branded as someone who violated someone's civil rights. Anyway, sorry about that. My OCD. You guys double tap the screen real quick. Double tap on your screen. We only got 37 likes and 100 and something people. But double.
He's so goddamn desperate. How do people listen to him? I feel bad enough when I have to, like, do my little calls to action, like, oh, like the stream or subscribe. Feels like shit. I wish I didn't have to do it. How does he sit here and constantly beg people?
Double tap on your screen. Just double tap, and put in the comment section, Team DLZ. I want to say thank you to you guys who donated. Fundraiser's still going. I've got to
Does he
raise
think it's like an AI? I don't know. He's dumb. Maybe.
more money, but that's not what this is about right now.
How does this dude live without a steady income? Well, first of all, he doesn't have rent, to my knowledge, or a mortgage. He spends his time driving around. He lives out of his vehicle, I think. He stays in hotels, from time to time. But a lot of the time, he's staying in his car, or couch surfing from other sovereign citizens, maybe, I've seen a couple times. So his expenses are lower than most people, and the rest he gets from his audience.
This is about the filing process I just went through when I sued Ann Zimmerman. So here's what happened. I went in, they assigned the marshal to me, and then we walked to the clerk's office, and I said, so how long were you a cop for? And he said, 30 years. And I said, oh, okay. I said, listen, man. I said, I'm actually a really nice guy, but when I get in front of cops and they tell me what to do, they start giving me directives, then I start to kind of be a little bit of a dick, right? And I'll kind of...
He's so close to self-awareness with that, isn't he? Like, he's so close to going, oh, wait a minute, I have control issues where I feel incredibly uncomfortable when I don't feel in control of a situation. Maybe I should introspect about that and figure out why and learn to cope better and maybe seek therapy. But instead he's like, nope! They're torture cuffs and it's a dungeon because I feel uncomfortable and don't want to explore my feelings.
I'm going to be aggressive with my voice and with my tone back to them.
Men will literally sue multiple federal judges instead of just going to therapy. Okay, they're state judges, they're not federal. Sounds funnier if I say federal, though, huh?
Is understandable. So then I said to the cop, so you were a cop for 30 years? And he said somewhere along the lines that I hate all cops, and I had never said that. And I said, why would you say that? I said,
what are you talking about, Chili? You talk about how much you hate cops all the time. What are you talking about? And you do it in, like, a cartoonish way, where you're not even usually just talking about, like, systemic issues. You, like, literally will just call individual cops pieces of shit and pigs to their face, and that's your whole personality. Like, your whole personality on the internet is saying, like, cops are dog shit. And, you know, hey, ACAB, fair enough, but, like, the way you do it is very personal and, like, weird. It's okay to think that policing needs to be overhauled, reformed, reduced, and replaced with different kinds of social services, but that's not what this feels like. It just feels like he has a weird personal vendetta with all individual cops because they deign to claim authority over him in this world. Crazy.
What makes you think I would hate all cops? I said, it's not I hate all cops, I hate the policy.
Yeah, he's rewriting history. Whatever scenario he's in, he's always in the right, and everyone is always wrong for accusing him of something that makes him feel or look bad. They just misunderstood.
Procedures and protocols. I said, let me ask you a question. When you were a cop for 30 years, did you arrest people and put them in torture cuffs?
Every time!
And he said, torture cuffs, they're safety restraints. That's what he called torture cuffs. Put in the comment section, torture cuffs are always torture. Put it in the comment section. Torture cuffs are always torture. So then he said to me, the safety restraints. I said, no, let me put them on you cop style. And he said, no. And I said, but listen, let me just ask you a question. When you arrested people over the last 30 years before you worked this cush job here as a federal marshal, I said, did anybody ever complain that it hurt? And he said, oh yeah, lots of people complained that the handcuffs hurt. I said, was it something that you heard regularly? And he said, yes. And I said, so then torture cuffs are always torture. And he said,
does he think that any application of pain in any context is torture? I've said this before, but I don't think the biggest thing for him is the physical pain, though I'm not saying it's non-existent. I understand that putting on handcuffs too tight can hurt you. For me, I still think the psychological feeling of having control taken away from you is the thing that stresses him out more than anything.
I'm just going to have to agree to disagree with you on that. I said to him, well, have you ever been put in the torture cuffs? And he said, no, there's never been a reason to put me in torture cuffs, in handcuffs. And I said, well, listen.
Nathan says, torture isn't merely uncomfortable. That's not what torture is. I would go further. Torture isn't just not being merely uncomfortable. It's not just any application of pain. Like, let's say you punch someone in the face. That would hurt them, but it's not torture. You know what I mean? Torture, by definition, kind of has a pretty specific intent and, like, application, and this just does not fit that definition. If you wanted to talk about how you think that there are better ways to restrain people, like if you'd prefer that cops use zip cuffs or something, all right, I don't know how far you're gonna get with that crusade, but all right. But what he does now just makes no goddamn sense.
I've never threatened to beat up anybody. I haven't beat up anybody after I was 25 years old.
Wampa says, wait, cops never have to have worn cuffs to get used to them on the general public? To my understanding, they do. During officer training, they are handcuffed and they are pepper sprayed, is my understanding, so they understand the feeling of both.
There's never been a reason to put me in torture cuffs either, but
I don't know if that's universal, to be clear. I imagine that varies a lot between jurisdictions and the training programs they have, but I have seen cops be handcuffed and pepper sprayed as part of their training. And tased. Some of them probably do tasing as well.
yet
Which I think is a good thing. I think that's fair. If you're gonna do, like, less lethal stuff to people, like, I think you should at least once have to understand viscerally what the experience of that is.
I've been in torture cuffs, 4 or 5 dozen times. And he says, well, then you got to look at yourself and decide.
Tam says, I don't understand. I wear cuffs recreationally. Same. And in fairness, there is a difference between, like, actual Smith & Wesson, like, official police handcuffs and, like, the kind of handcuffs you buy at Spencer's Gifts or the internet on Amazon or whatever. There's a difference, but, like, I don't know, man. I still think it's mostly psychological for him.
Why are you getting put in handcuffs so often? And I said, because I don't bow down and lick their boots when they give me unlawful orders and tell me what to do. And before the camera phone, they used to just grab me and put me in torture cuffs and then say it was for officer safety, which is the whole thing.
Again, during detentions, like during a detention, it doesn't even have to be a full arrest. If you are being detained by the police, they are under certain circumstances allowed to handcuff you for officer safety. Like, that's just a reality. He's talking about it like that's illegal or something they were hiding. They're allowed to do that.
That we're about. OT.
I also want to point out that Chili, we know, gets very overtly aggressive against cops quite randomly. So, like, are we that surprised that they felt the need to restrain him during the detention?
Put it in the chat. Overturn Terry versus Ohio. Put it in the chat.
Mr. Peach says, also military security and some security people have to do the same. Both Green Guy and I have done handcuff training. Would you consider them torture cuffs?
OTVO.
That's rhetorical. I know you don't. I just find it funny.
Oh. So I said, everything now is done.
You're glad torture cuffs isn't a drinking game here? Is it? Wait, what channel does a torture cuffs drinking game? Blue Bacon, maybe? I like Blue Bacon.
In the guise of officer safety, I said, so that means that if you walk up to somebody, you can just say, I'm gonna detain you. And what does detainment include? It includes what? Putting me in the handcuffs, right? And he said, yeah. And I said,
not always. I would imagine that happens usually for Chili, though, because again, he comes off as overtly aggressive with cops.
So if you heard every day that the handcuffs were hurting somebody, then you're torturing people. You're hurting people who have not committed a crime. You're detaining them based on your feeling of being safe. And he says, we're gonna have to agree to disagree. And I'm like, what the flock are you, agree to disagree? I said, man, you just said you detain people. You just said every day people, there we go. Are we still there? Are we still there? Do we still got it?
Oh, by the way, he's still doing the thing. I bring this up every time because I swear we're just gonna get an obituary one of these days. And, like, I'm not gonna be happy about it. Like, Chili rides in his car and just lets it do self-driving, and he just films videos and doesn't pay any goddamn attention. He's gonna get himself and potentially other people killed. Like, this is the most dangerous thing he does. The cop stuff is, like, funny, but this is actually dangerous. He does this every day. He just films videos not paying any goddamn attention while letting the car drive itself. Gonna get killed. And I say that as a bad thing. I don't like Chili, but I don't want him to, like, get hurt because of his own stupidity.
Hopefully we can still got it.
Plus anyone else that he might run into who are innocent.
Zimmerman got sued. There it is. I'm gonna hit the high desert in a minute, so I know that. Was I cutting in and out pretty bad there? I can't see. Let me put some glasses on. There we are. Right on. Now I can see some comments. Whoa, is there really only 36 people here? There's got to be more than that. I was misreading something. What is going on out there? Team DLZ is in the house. Christopher, what's going on, Playboy? Someone, did you guys see the troll? That's so funny, isn't it? Just got it. That's funny. That's hilarious. That is funny.
It's always good to just say that's hilarious when you're not showing chat on screen, so during the VOD, no one has any idea what the fuck you're talking about. He's a very good professional streamer, as you can see.
I was just kind of rambling about the fact that I went to the federal
Only 36 people and at least one is a troll. Yeah, I have more people watching me on YouTube right now than he did then, according to the 36 live viewers. Which is funny, because he has way more subscribers than me. I know a lot of other people have speculated that he, has botted out his channel, and that's why he has so many subs but so few views. Possible, I guess.
Building to sue the corrupt and biased and unprincipled Judge Ann Zimmerman. And when I got into the federal building, they had assigned a marshal to follow me around through the federal building.
You're repeating yourself.
And followed me all the way up to the clerk's office, all the way over to the clerk's office, where he sat there with me the whole time that the clerk was filling out the forms for the federal civil rights lawsuit, which I find to be just harassing. And
maybe that he had something go viral, a bunch of people subbed and nobody followed up. Definitely that one is a huge part of it, because I think he had some shorts that went pretty viral at some point. He really does the best in short content because all of the context is stripped, and when you see Chili with context, it's obvious that he's the problem in most situations. So, yeah, like this one, yeah. Some of his shorts have 6.4 million views, 5.7 million views, and his normal videos don't get even a fraction of that. Like, this video from 12 days ago has 3,500 views. This one has under 3,000 views. This one has under 2,000 views. So it seems like he got subs off maybe some shorts that don't actually like his content. Maybe his old superhero stuff. That's on a different channel.
I don't know how or why why they would feel as though they have to assign a cop to hang out with me when I'm filing a federal civil rights lawsuit. To me, that doesn't make any sense. I don't think it's appropriate, considering I don't have any history of violence in my past. And
I'm trying to think, hold on, have we ever seen him, he's aggressive, but I'm trying to think violence. Have we ever seen him do violence? Don't know. Oh, wait, we did have the restraining orders and stuff from his ex where she claimed he was threatening to, like, murder her and her new boyfriend. The cop wouldn't necessarily know that, but...
And I've never threatened to overthrow the government or lead a revolution or...
I've never threatened to overthrow the government is the bar. Jot that down.
Anything of the kind. All I've done is teach people their basic rights and get trifolds and cars of people. And give people cop cards, and so many of them.
Chili, don't you know if you try to overthrow the government, your family gets a $5 million settlement, or you become the president of the United States?
So I go to...
Bittergrin says, earlier he said he hadn't been in a fight after 25, so he does have a history of violence, yeah?
Sue the judge, and they're going to have a cop follow me around. I think that is I think that's abysmal. That's the height of a despotic government. So a despotic government usual way. So the very beginning of a despotic government is the cops following you when you go to sue a cop and the judge that put you in jail for a Monell claim, which means that the entire system was rotten from top to bottom. And so I just find it peculiar that they decided to follow me. And it's not the first time.
Not peculiar. They want to make sure you're not harassing people for content. That's it. I don't even think it's a danger thing. I don't think they think you're a danger. I think they think you're a nuisance. And I think on some level he almost gets off. His ego likes the idea that they think he's dangerous, because that would imply some sort of power. And he wants to feel powerful. He wants to feel like, you know, people are threatened by him if he doesn't like them. The reality is much more banal. They find him to be a nuisance. They don't want him to annoy other people there doing their business. They don't want him to harass employees of the courthouse. They're not worried you're going to do violence. They're just aware that you're annoying. That's it. H-Bird says, perhaps one of the fights when he was under 25 was one of the Marcel 500 street fights. Has Chili been to Canada? That would be awesome. You know how much money I would pay to see Marcel and Chili duke it out? Like in an MMA match? It would be a glorious disaster.
It won't be the last time. Every time I go in to that federal building, I will be followed around by the cops. Which, I think it's just, I think it's horrible. I think it's every attempt in the world to intimidate you. That's what it is.
Oh
that's
my
exactly
god, they were not intimidating you. Fuck off.
What it is. Brandy, Swaney, Greg, hey, and I want to say thank you to you guys who donated to me earlier so that I could walk in that building.
Chili is stronger, but Marcel has the crazy advantage. I think Chili could take a punch. He's kind of a short guy, but he's like, you know, wide. I think he could take a punch, but I agree. Marcel's got the crazy thing going, and that's the wild card. That's hard to quantify.
And file and realize I wouldn't be in a hole. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Big shout out to Chevy. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate all you guys, but it was just to make sure I could get it done today. Chevy stepped in and was like, there you go. Now you can just get it done. Cops are 5150. Bill Roberts. I mean, all you guys that came.
H. Gilbert says Chili's a Trump supporter, isn't he? I guess I don't remember. Like, a lot of his personality would imply it to me, but he's also very anti-cop, and Trump is rhetorically very pro-cop. He speaks positively about cops as a rhetorical tool, which I think Chili would find off-putting. So, I don't know.
In and donated. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I still have that GoFundMe going. I got to get it to over 5,000 because I have to have a subscription to Westlaw, and I'll show everybody my subscription.
Oh my fuck! You're gonna buy a You don't need that. You're not a lawyer. Oh my god! How much is a subscription to Westlaw? It's not cheap. Benekagami says it's so bizarre that Chili doesn't understand that it's not an own that people don't want to let him handcuff them. Chili, no one that isn't into kinks wants to be handcuffed, especially by a strange man. I've been handcuffed by the cops and then got thrown into an isolation for a bit at the barracks. Frankly, the cuffs were pleasant in comparison to the isolation, and the fact he doesn't complain about the hold tells me you're right about his fixation on the cuffs. Yeah.
Subscription. I will log into Westlaw because they're gonna ban.
I gotta look. How much is a subscription to Westlaw these days? I'm almost scared to know. Yeah, Jesus. Woo! Okay, so if you wanted a Westlaw account that only is for a singular state, like let's say you were an attorney that only worked within Michigan and you just wanted the Michigan Westlaw database, it'd be $115 per month. It isn't nothing. But if you're like a federal lawyer, or if you're someone like Chili that presumably is going to want the entire state and federal premium version of Westlaw, it's almost $600 a month. It's almost $600 a month. And I don't think he needs it, if I'm being honest. Why in the fuck would Chili need a Westlaw account? He's not a lawyer or a judge.
Using AI in courtrooms across America is what they're going to do. They already did it in the...
It makes sense, yeah, it makes sense for, like, lawyers and stuff, and law offices have, like, subscriptions that are more expensive that count for, like, their entire organizations. that's a singular person rate, like if you were an independent lawyer, or him who's not a lawyer, but he wants to pay for it for some reason.
Western District.
I should explain, if you don't know what Westlaw is, basically it is a database that lawyers and judges use, that catalogs case law. So if you wanted to find official case law, you would find it on Westlaw in the United States. I imagine different countries probably have different services.
North Carolina. So they're going to try to do the same thing through the district courts because nobody wants to be outsmarted by AI. How many of these
If you're getting outsmarted by AI, frankly, you weren't that smart to begin with.
judges have been using the jurisprudence that they wanted to use instead of the proper jurisprudence? So when you argue a case, if you guys, I'm sure a lot of you guys know this, but I'll just
West publishes Black's Law Dictionary. That makes sense.
say it out loud for someone who maybe wasn't taking high school civics this week. So
Amber says, we know a few anthropologists and historians who also subscribe to Westlaw because the fields often overlap. Oh, that's interesting. I never would have thought of that.
the way that you argue a case that the judge doesn't have
Is
immunity,
he going to act as his own lawyer? I don't know. I don't know if he's mentioned a lawyer here. If he is going to be his own attorney, that's hilarious.
is you list other cases where the judge didn't get immunity. And so then, of course, there are cases where the judge got immunity. And so that's what the defense will be presenting back after their motion to dismiss, because we're going to overcome the motion to dismiss on most of the things. But they, some of those things you may not overcome the motion to dismiss. We'll see. We'll see. And then I'm going to appeal when that happens. So I'm prepared to lose. I'm prepared to lose in district court because I don't think that it's going to be a fair shake. I mean, I don't think that it is. A lot of the cases that we talk about, and one of the first cases I'll be teaching you is a case called Kent versus Dulles from 1958. It's your right to travel, your right to have a passport and be able to leave the country. Well, in 1958, well, before that, it was like 1950. I'm not going to go too much into the story because I'm going to tell it this week when I teach Constitution headquarters. But Kent lost. He lost in court, and then I think he went district, appellate, circuit. Then I think he went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And if he had lost, then the government would have been able to...
We'll be suing when this all falls apart. If it doesn't work, which it probably won't, who knows though, but probably not, I'm sure he'll just say, well, the whole system is corrupt. The whole system is set up so you can't even seek justice for your wrongful conviction. And then he'll probably go back on his grift about wanting to be a politician. He's done the grift several times where he's like, I'm going to run for governor of insert state here. So he might get back on that for a while and be like, I need to change the system from within. I'm going to be a governor. And then he'll get into something else.
It's the same. They would have been able to limit your right to have a passport. And that's the 1958 case of Kent versus Dulles, D-U-L-L-E-S. So the jurisprudence, the cases that were presented in Kent versus Dulles, a group of judges at the very beginning of the district court level, a judge there took a look at it and told Kent, no, it's not unconstitutional. They can hold your passport from you if they just claim that you're a communist. You're not a part of the Communist Party. There's no proof of that, but we're going to claim that you're a communist, so they can just take away your passport. Okay. So Kent goes to a federal judge in a district court, and the federal judge says, yeah, that's perfectly constitutional. Then he appeals. And he goes to an appellate judge who is a constitutional law scholar, and he takes a look at it, and they go, no, it's not unconstitutional. They can take away your passport. Then it goes to the circuit, and now you got a whole group of...
Is he citing this literally just because he... I guess I don't understand what he's getting at here. Is he just prepping his audience for the failure of this case, so then he can say, well, next I need money so I can take it to the appellate courts. Then when that fails, I need more money so I can take it to circuit court. You know what I mean? Is he just priming his audience for failure already? What is he doing?
Judges, 3 judges, I think, or I don't know the exact answer. The Ninth Circuit has more than, but anyway, so it goes to the circuit court, and at least 3 judges preside and take a look at Kent versus Dulles. And the 3 judges in the circuit court go, oh, they denied your passport claiming you're a communist? Okay, that's good. That's good. We're fine with that. It's not unconstitutional. And Kent is like, what the? How am I going to get out of here? I want to fly to Norway, to Greenland, where I take pictures. And so then it goes to the Supreme Court. Now, mind you, we win in Kent versus Dulles, and the Supreme Court 5-4 decides that if the government decides you're a communist, they still can't withhold your passport. So when you get to that level, but understand the Supreme Court justices had one voted the other way in Kent versus Dulles, you wouldn't have a right to get a passport. All the government needs say is that you're a communist. That's it. Just say so. We're seeing that again today with Trump. If you have a certain amount of tattoos or look a certain way, then you must be part of this gang. You should go
Interesting. So he is criticizing Trump.
to an El Salvadorian prison. Okay, so now in Kent versus...
I know someone else mentioned he used to be a Trump supporter. Was that during like his first term and he thought Trump was going to be on his side? A lot of the things people believe about Trump are confusing to me based on witnessing his words and actions.
Dulles, I want to remind you though, I just sued Ann Zimmerman and I sued them all for a Manel claim for the bailiffs, the cops.
Why can't people just follow the Batmobile back to the Batcave? It's not like it'll blend in. Do you think that you can keep up with the Batmobile? I know this is a complete non sequitur, but like, the average person can't keep up with the Batmobile. It has like atomic engines. It has a jet engine on it, depending on the version. It's Batman driving it. Helicopters exist. Have you seen Batman Begins? That's literally a plot point in Batman Begins, as they're chasing him with a helicopter trying to catch the Batmobile, and he gets away. Because he's Batman. Plot armor is his superpower. You can say any question about Batman. Why doesn't something about Batman? Because he's got plot armor, because he's DC's biggest seller. Because that's his character.
The judges all screwing me over. It's a Manel claim. Okay, so now I'm going to the district court level, and I have the same judge, Andrew Gordon, who's heard a different one of my cases. The case where I have a partial summary judgment against that cop, Bork, who arrested me. So now we're at the district court level where I'm suing 2 judges, a prosecutor, a cop, and the bailiffs that work in that courtroom. Do you think the district judge is going to let me win? Do you think the district...
Okay, so he's priming his audience for failure. Why did his audience give him money then? Like, I don't know exactly how much his audience gave him in filing fees, but what the fuck? You're literally telling your audience, give me money, give me money, give me money, and then after they give you the money, you're like, well, this isn't gonna work. Freyline with 40-bit says, it's a shame he does have a good opinion sometimes, but in the worst way. In another world, Chili would have actually be fighting for people's rights. He would have a very different personality. In my opinion, the vibe I get from Chili is he will take on any cause that he thinks he can use to self-aggrandize and give him a sense of importance and a sense that he is a good guy fighting the good fight. But in reality, he doesn't really care about the good fight. He cares about being perceived as fighting the good fight. Kind of a narcissist.
Judge is going to say, yes, Chili, you get to sue these judges, yes, and you get to sue their bailiffs, and you get to sue the cop again for false testimony on the stand, and we're going to go ahead and hit the gavel down and say, yes, Chili, you get to sue those cops. I don't think so. Do you think so? I want to know, do you think so? Chevy, do you think so? The district court, I'm going to lose. Everybody understands that, right? The same day I filed the lawsuit, and I'm still collecting donations so I can pay for Westlaw every month. You guys can look into it. It's $340 a month for a pro se litigant.
Okay, I didn't know they had a plan specifically for pro se litigants. That's hilarious, though.
Okay, so you heard the story of Kent versus Dulles, where they took his passport, the passport office did, and only claimed he was a terrorist or he was a communist. And now I am a bona fide First Amendment auditor, and we are listed as terrorists with the government. So now I'm suing.
I think sovereign citizens are considered that because of the multiple murders, but not sure about the First Amendment auditor thing. I don't know if that's a terrorist thing. A nuisance to some extent, depending on how it's being done. But terrorists? I don't know. Who knows, though? The government does stupid shit. Remember that time the government listed ICP as a terrorist organization?
And the same judge is hearing this case. I
Whoop, whoop.
got it right here. I filed. Everybody can look it up online. It's on Pacer. Do you think he's
Water, fire, air, and earth. Fucking lawsuits. How do they work?
gonna let me win? Do you think he's gonna let me win on the merits of it being unconstitutional to arrest me wrongfully and then go in front of a judge who was married to a cop and kept his last name after they divorced? I put this in the lawsuit, by the way. And then I go to the courtroom. I'm trying to assemble with my people peacefully in the...
Sorry, it might not have been terrorist. It might have been gang. Was it gang? They called it a gang. They called the Juggalos a gang. Which, like, don't get me wrong. I've seen groups of Juggalos. Sometimes it seems a little cringe, but we're all a little cringe sometimes. I don't know.
Back pre-trial conference, and the bailiff starts to harass me, and then goes back and tells the judge that I won't sit forward in the courtroom, prejudicing the judge who already didn't like.
And then it just cuts off because he's a professional streamer and he's very, very good at it. All right, moving on. I'll keep you updated on that lawsuit if anything happens with it. I don't know if it's just gonna get taken down as like a slap thing. I don't know. There are anti-slap measures that are probably gonna get used against that.
Hello and welcome to the channel. It's me, Chris Brooks. I hope everyone's well. So
What was the charge for that group of about 5 auditors who were arrested about 3 years ago? I guess I don't recall that. I don't remember when that happened.
I've been on this journey for a little while now, and it is a lot to take in, and I'm still taking it in, and I'm struggling to retain it. But I just wanted to give you a quick breakdown on what I've learnt so far when it comes to the Bar Guild and the dirty game of banking, which is our judicial system.
Judicial? And also he thinks the courts are banks? Okay.
You've probably heard this one, that the law applies to everyone. But have you ever stopped to ask whose law and who's everyone? Because here's a truth that most people don't find unless they go digging for it. The British legal system isn't about justice. It's about commerce. It's a system to protect contracts, not living men or women like you.
I mean, contract law is for that, but that's a specific subset of the law. It's not the entire body of law.
You or I.
Contract law is like a civil thing.
Let me break it down. Barristers, judges, lawyers, solicitors, they all swear an oath, but it's not to you and it's not to the community. Not to natural justice or truth. They swear allegiance to the Bar Guild, a private members association. Yes.
I don't know anything about British lawyers, but I'm guessing that's not true. I don't know, though. Even if it was, what would the issue be? That they're swearing an allegiance to, like, their profession and its legal standards? Its ethical and moral standards? Like, the Hippocratic Oath is arguably something quite similar to what you're describing, except for doctors.
You heard that right. It's private, a closed shop. This Bar Guild It isn't answerable to the public. It exists to serve the legal and financial interests of the Crown. And no, that's not the Queen or the King you think of. It's the Crown Corporation, a separate legal entity based in the City of London, which is not part of Greater London or under its control. It is its own sovereign district with its own laws and police force. So what happens when you go to court? You're not being seen as a living, breathing man or woman with rights.
Yes, I don't get it. Why are they obsessed with this? It's like they are precluded from understanding that, yes, other human beings can have authority over you. They don't need to come up with some bullshit straw man nonsense. They just directly have authority over you, the person. It's not deeper than that.
Rights.
This crap about the London City is an ancient anti-Semitic conspiracy, by the way. Oh, wow, this guy that called courts banks happens to maybe also be anti-Semitic. I'm shocked! Oh my god!
You're being treated as a legal fiction, a corporate construct, created when your birth was registered and your name was converted into all capital letters. That's not a coincidence. In legal and commercial terms, capital letters denote a corporate entity.
No, I don't know if this is the same in the UK as it is in the United States, but in the United States, proper names are always capitalized because capital letters are more easily discernible from each other than lowercase letters, because certain lowercase letters look similar to each other, and this is helpful when things are being scanned or if someone's just reading something. Helpful. That's part of, like, the style guide, is that, like, proper names of people and companies are often all caps.
And this is where it gets even darker. Once that legal fiction, your name, exists, it becomes a tradable asset. A bond is created on the stock exchange.
It doesn't. None of this is true. Sovereign citizens say this shit all the time, that your birth certificate is a bond that's tradable. It's not. That doesn't even make sense. What would be the value of the bond? Like, what would be the instrument? Like, it would be an instrument, but what would be the underlying asset? You as a person? People are investing in you as a person? That doesn't really make any sense, because how would they get any sort of return on that asset? Like, what are you talking about? How does that work?
And you become collateral for government borrowing. That is why your birth is registered. Not to protect you, but to securitize you. The entire system is governed by Admiralty law, law of the sea.
Again, none of that's true.
Not common law, which is based on natural rights.
It's not common law, and common law isn't based on natural rights. Common law was an old system of the judiciary in which there would basically be judges. This was back in the day. Judges didn't necessarily used to always have, like, a court that they would stay in. Historically, in the UK, a long time ago, especially in sort of more isolated areas, they would have judges that would travel and adjudicate things. And while there wasn't necessarily a system of statutory law, they decided, basically, if a judge, rules on a case somewhere in the country, that ruling should stand for all similar cases. We see this reflected today. We've taken sort of this same idea, and that's how case precedent works. But this is before statutory law was a big thing like it is now, at least not in volume that it is. So the common law aspect of it was a bigger part of it. Now later, as things changed, that stopped being a thing. So neither the UK or the United States operates under common law, and it's not some secret, it's not a bad thing. We have legislative bodies that write and pass legislation that becomes statutory law, right? Now on top of that, we have the judicial system that does have precedent and has, at least in the United States, the ability to strike down laws that they find unconstitutional. But, like, it's not a conspiracy. He just doesn't understand how the government works.
And fairness, Admiralty law treats everything as commerce. That's why courtrooms resemble ships.
Courtrooms don't resemble ships. Have you seen a ship? What ship are you looking at that resembles a courtroom? What? Do you mean in that There's wood? Like, are you thinking of an old wooden ship and you're imagining like an old-timey formal wooden courtroom and you're like, ah, all wood is boats. What the fuck does that mean?
Judge wears black like a captain. The dock is where the accused stands. The proceedings are conducted in legalese, a language designed to sound like English, but with completely different meanings.
No, it's not. It's just jargon. Every career has jargon to some extent. The law is just one that has a lot of jargon, but it's not secret. Orion Cooper with a $5 super chat says, I am now investing in you as a person, Hannah. That's a good move. I'm about as good of investment as Bed Bath & Beyond was. So, that's good. Just a Peach with $1 says, there's a city in Washington called Paulsbo because of someone misreading Paulsbo in the 1800s. I don't understand. Both are... Oh, Paulsbo! Paulsbo versus Paulsbo. That makes sense.
Let me give you an example. And like I said, I know many of you may know this, but this is more of an introduction for those who have recently joined my channel. And
Admiralty law exists in the UK. It deals with shipping. Is this guy admitting he's a pirate? No, Admiralty law is a thing in the United States too. It's just that it doesn't apply to any of the things he's talking about.
I want to see where they are on their journey of waking up to this. So back to the example. The word person, it sounds harmless. We all say, oh, you know that person. But legally, a person is a corporate entity, not a living man or a woman. That's why they ask you, do you understand the charges? When in actual fact, what they're saying in legalese is...
Hold on, I'm gonna do a Black's Law dictionary on myself here. Ugh. Let's look up what it says the definition of person is. Now, to be clear, person, one of the definitions is corporations, because under the law, the way that laws are written, they are often say, like, a person doing this or such, and so it applies to corporations. They do consider corporations to be a person in the legal sense that it is an entity that can be held to account. That doesn't mean they're literally saying it's a flesh and blood person, or that you, a person, are a corporation. It's just a way that the law works, basically so that corporations as entities can be dealt with legally.
Do you stand under our jurisdiction as this legal fiction? Say yes.
Moss Sloth, did you have a different one you wanted me to do? Because I was going to do it for free anyway. You don't have to give me anything. Can we also look up understand? Sure, I'll do person and then I'll do understand. Oh, I'm almost there. Oh, there's perjury. Almost there, sorry. Person in general usage, a human being, i.e. a natural person. So the first definition is what you would colloquially think of as a person. A human being, like you or me. And then it goes on to say, though by statute, term may include a firm, labor organizations, partnerships, associations, or corporations' legal representatives. So he is correct, as I said, in that organizations can be referred to as persons for legal purposes, but the initial first definition is still the colloquial one, which is, you know, people, persons, me, you, other human beings. Hydrate, will do. And then what was the other one someone wanted me to look up? Was it? No, it was just done.
And you've consented. Just like that. But now
Understand. That's
ask yourself this. Why would a system built on truth and justice need to trick you into consenting?
It's not. You're just an idiot who listened to people on the internet tell you lies, and now you're parroting them to make money because you're a scumbag. A bag of scum. Or some sort of membrane whose contents are disgusting, slimy nonsense.
Because it's not there to help you. It's there to harvest you. Every fine, every tax, every court fee, every license, it's all about extracting time, energy and money, wealth away from the people and back into the fraudulent.
Understand, to know, to apprehend the meaning, to appreciate, as to understand the nature and effect of an act. There you go. Wow, shockingly, none of it has anything to do with consent.
Corrupt banking system. And that system, by the way, is run parallel with law. Judges aren't neutral, they're part of the same guild as the prosecutors. You're walking into a courtroom where both sides play for the same team. And
they don't. The United States and the UK have adversarial legal systems. They are quite explicitly not playing for the same team. You never see these motherfuckers get mad about French jurisprudence, even though they don't have an adversarial system and it's much closer to the Roman legal system.
It ain't yours. But here's the shift. People are waking up. They're realizing that they've been contracting unknowingly, tricked into giving consent where none was needed. They're beginning to reclaim their standing as living men and women, not as fictions or franchises. The power they had over us for centuries?
If anyone knows any videos to explain the French legal system, by the way, let me know, because I'm aware it's very different than, like, again, the UK or US system that are adversarial. And I'm curious about it, but I can't find, like, a good succinct YouTube video. There are some French legal drama films I want to watch, but I feel like if I watch the movies, I'm going to be confused because I don't understand the basics of the system. So, if anyone knows a good primer for, like, what the fuck is the deal with the French legal system, let me know.
Well, I think that's fading. And I think it's fading fast. So next time you hear somebody ask, oh, it's just the law, maybe ask, whose law? For whose benefit? And under whose consent? Because the second you learn how to say, I do not consent, I do not stand under your jurisdiction, that's when things really start to shift. It's not conspiracy, it's contract. And contracts can
Not a contract.
be refused.
Like, you could argue it's, like, in sort of an esoteric way, a social contract, but it's not a literal, like, civil law contract.
Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Look after yourselves, have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Does anyone need a brisk walk? Does anyone need some fresh air? I do. Let's go for a walk with Marcel in his neighborhood.
Marcel, we're just going to do a little bit of running around the neighborhood here. Just going to go to the bank.
The title of this video is Marcel, full suit, full gold, walk through Winnipeg ghetto, as always, untouched, helping the world.
Take out a few bucks, and I just want to show you guys what it's like
Is this where Marcel goes to the store? Yes.
when I actually walk around. You guys can see I look all badass awesome. Got my bling.
Yeah, look at how badass he is with the 90s gold chains that were tacky even back then, but people were on cocaine, so they noticed less.
We're just going to do a little bit of running around the neighborhood here. Just going to go to the bank, take out a few bucks, and I just want to show you guys what it's like when I actually walk around. You guys can see I look all badass awesome. Got my bling bling on.
Point of order, I think that is just bling. Bling bling is gold and diamonds, but I believe that is just gold, so I believe that would be bling. Correct me if I'm wrong. Bittergrin says he goes outside like that. Yeah. He's a kook. He's cracked. Yeah.
Got the shoes on here. Just finished doing a Your Life is a Joke video, just explaining why your life's a joke, and I don't
That's he's been putting out a lot of videos. I'm still working on the first one. Don't at me.
treat mine like a joke, but you treat yours like it's a joke. Most of it's not your fault, but now that you've met me, it is your fault if you don't learn and all of that going forward. So, you know what? Let's throw a hat on here just for a little bit of style. Plus, I think it's a little chilly out. Keep me a little warmer. Booyah, baby. Okay.
Why doesn't he wear a cape out? A cape? before Labor Day.
Got my keys. Go ahead and door's locked. Got keys so I can get back in.
I see he makes $300,000 a year from his scams. Is that based on a claim he made? Because frankly, I would find that incredibly suspect without receipts. Not impossible. He is a good salesman, and by good I mean he's pushy and he can get sales out of like people who are susceptible to people being very pushy on them. So it's possible. He showed his bank statements recently. Oh good, that makes me feel less bad about covering him, honestly. The fact that he's grifting $350,000 a year from people. Yeah, I think I'm absolved of any wrongdoing here. Fuck this guy.
Good. And here we go. So we're gonna go to the bank, take out some cash, stop in a little corner store. And again, it's all brown people. Now, the brown people around me are actually fairly nice, so I don't mind.
He's racist, by the way. I know you know that, but he's racist.
And, oh well, look, they're actually cleaning up. I was planning on doing that myself, but yeah, that's nice if they do it. We can still do it. There's still lots to clean up, so you guys can see there's still lots to do. But yeah, we'll hit the store first. And I'm out.
Also, I find it a little weird that he's like, walk through Winnipeg ghetto, as always untouched. And like, he brags that like, no one fucks with him. I don't know what Winnipeg is like. I don't know. But I grew up in, and have a house, not that I live at now, but I do have the house, in Saginaw, which has one of the highest, like, murder rates in the country. I think it's, like, just behind Flint, or something like that. And even though Marcel says he grew up in the ghetto, he doesn't, how do I put this? I don't get that vibe, because he's like, yeah, I can walk out here and no one fucks with me. And it's like, in my experience, and I say this is like a very white person who, you know, maybe sticks out in certain neighborhoods. I had friends that lived in like downtown areas that were like the quote unquote bad areas. You're fine if you're not in a gang. Like, they're not just jumping random assholes. Typically, in my experience, high crime rate areas like that, or high murder rate areas, often it's a result of gang violence. So if you're not in the gang and don't present yourself like you're in a gang, or don't accidentally like wear the wrong colors or something, you're fine. They're not gonna come and randomly murder you for the most part. What are you talking about?
Hearing all my awesomeness, no one's gonna fuck with me. If they fuck with me, I'll knock them the fuck out. That's why I don't give a fuck. I'm the man. And you can see it's like ghetto shit all over the place.
It's like ghetto shit. It just looks like a place he's walking around. Ooh, screen recording thing. I'll take a look at that later.
So, I'm not ghetto. I'm in the ghetto. And I come from the ghetto. But I've risen above, and that's where your life can stop being a joke too, so.
He says he's risen above, but his office is in the ghetto. Have you risen above if you're still there? Like, I know you're wearing gold, but like, you're still there, so.
Hopefully you guys will actually learn and find out why the fuck it's good to know what your rights
It's
and shit
usually
are.
certain areas or streets, not the entire city. Yeah. He talks about the quote-unquote ghetto like my dad, who literally moved out to the middle of nowhere because he's afraid of black people. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't talk about the quote ghetto like someone who grew up in a rough area. He talks about it like a white person who's afraid to go to areas that they don't understand. You know what I mean? Hydrate. Will do. Oh, and Puka, thanks for 54 months. Oh, that's another sub-baby. This sub-baby's name is gonna be, Elvis President. Elvis President.
Because then your
In the ghetto, in the ghetto.
life's not a joke. Look at all these fucking people now.
Hi.
Hey.
Have a bit change.
The song In the Ghetto was very based for the time it was written. Too bad Elvis is kind of a creepy pedophile.
Maybe on the way out, I'll see if I have any.
You $14 more to play the game.
I got you, bro. Alright, so we'll take out some cash. And again, everyone's suffering, you guys, and I don't blame them for suffering. Like, you know, that guy needs 14 bucks to get a home. Breaks my heart.
Oh, sorry, there was a tip. Just a Peach with a $1 tip says he looks like the want to be mafia in dinner host from a... Wait, he looks like the want to be mafia in dinner host from the 70s B film. I've not seen that one.
So let's get the card out here. Taking out cash.
Marcel, don't film your PIN number. For the love of God, please don't have filmed your PIN number.
Away.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Amber, in regard to the French law system, says, from Georgetown Law, France has a civil law system which thus has a greater emphasis on statutes as found within various codes rather than the case law. The idea of stare decisis does not come into play in civil law systems, as each case is decided on an individual basis according to how it relates to the codified law and how the judge interprets that law. Thus, two cases on the same topic could have very different outcomes. So interesting. See ya, Ryan. Thanks for hanging out. We're about halfway through the stream, by the way. We're actually a little over halfway through the stream, so I gotta do my little calls to action. If you like the stream and you haven't already, subscribe on YouTube or follow on Twitch. If you want to help support the channel, subscribing, memberships, gift subs, all incredibly helpful. And we're also working towards our tip goal. We're almost halfway there for edited content. Very excited for that.
Yeah, let's do 100 today.
Oh, you meant a dinner host in any B Mafia film. All right, that makes more sense. Have you ever seen Born into Mafia? Gitara said this before in the chat. I'm black and I grew up in Detroit back when it was worse. As long as you don't have, what is that, ops? Or hang around with people you know have ops. Opes? OPPS, especially if they're in gangs, usually you'll be okay. Usually. It also depends on where you're at. Like, don't do what Marcel is doing, walking around with visible chains in a rougher area of the city. It's how he shows he's badass, though. Been in so many street fights. Ops equals opponents? Oh, okay, like you don't have any, like, beef. Like, you don't have anyone actively upset with you. I see.
You can see no one's trying to jack me. I'd fuck him up with figuring.
Also, does he not have, like, a local bank? Do you know the fees at, like, a convenience store ATM? They're bonkers. Sometimes it's like a $6 fee to take out money.
Okay, let's put this card away.
Just announcing how much cash he's pulling out. Yeah. Very good to do.
Okay, so I got cash. And let's go talk to this dude about what's going on with him. Figure it out. Hey, brother. I'm just recording myself here. I won't put you on camera. So you were
Nice he doesn't put the guy on camera.
saying you needed 14 bucks for a place to stay?
Yeah, please,
Yeah?
can you help me out?
I can. Within that, do you mind sharing a little bit? I work in private law, and we're trying to set...
Oh, stop. Don't use him. If you're gonna give him the money, just give him the money. Don't fucking use him for your content. I hate that shit. I hate when people use, like, unhoused people for their content. It's so uncomfortable, and, like, clearly the people, like, if you're offering them something, they feel the need to engage with it. It's exploitative and gross, and I'm actually gonna skip this part. Because that's gross, Marcel. Don't do that.
you, Michael, and...
Ooh, Twix! I do like a Twix,
So that way I can be all amped
as you can see.
up on my videos with my coffee. And grab a couple chocolate bars. Just got a few bars. How you doing today, man?
Good, good, mate.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You said a couple. That's 3.
That'll be it for today there, my friend.
Also, are candy bars smaller in Canada? They look smaller. I feel like the share size has become the standard size in America. That's probably not good. Snickers is too salty for you? See, I like Snickers, but I don't like caramel. So the caramel's what does it for me.
Thank you.
Kit Kat's your least favorite? How is that an opinion you're allowed to have? Reese's are my favorite. Kit Kats are up there. I like Three Musketeers.
And can I grab a little bag? Sorry, I'm doing a podcast
Crunch bars, also good.
thing here. Just walk around
Is it
neighborhood.
live?
Not live. I'm just doing a video that I'm going to upload after the fact. So, yeah. Thank you very much, man. Have a good day. Thanks. Yeah, so that guy's a super cool guy. I come in here all the time. He's super nice. And they're good to all the guys around here. I like them. So that's where, you know, sometimes I pick on, like, East Indians or different things. I don't mean everybody, though. There's good people in all walks of life.
Fuck you, you racist sack!
That guy at the store there, he's a cool guy. Super nice, you know, and I'm pretty sure he's seen my videos where I'm going off on East Indians, and he still serves me. And just, if you watch this buddy at the store there, I like you. I don't mean that shit at you. And that's the tough...
Disgusting. Disgusting. Sorry, I try to be analytical as much as I can when I'm not making jokes, at least. But, like, goddamn, dude. I'm trying not to have secondary emotional moral judgments here, but... Yikerinos. Fucking racist asshole.
thing. Like, so here, we'll drop this off here, and we're gonna go get a little bit of THC stuff here. So you guys can see, like, I walk around the neighborhood, gangsters compliment me on my chains, and they understand if I'm doing this. Obviously I'm a tough fuck. I actually do like that they're actually cleaning up though. They're doing something reasonably decent for a change. So yeah, you guys, so this is my life. Like, when I walk out in public, I'm not a freak. I'm not going off on everybody. I do tie into some people sometimes, but I genuinely try not to. And so yeah, so now we're gonna go into the place I get my weed from, and I'm gonna get a couple of THC drinks, as I do almost every day, and maybe some hoots to smoke as well, because I did a bulk order that's gonna come in a few days, but for right now, I'm still making do with this, so. But I got new cards coming.
Looks like a nice area he's calling the ghetto. I do find it a little funny. And in fairness, I don't know Canada. I don't know Winnipeg. Like I don't know the area. But compared to, like, areas I have been around, it's funny that he's describing this as the ghetto. Like, I believe that it's not, like, economically the best area. But I don't know. I don't know. I've been to the fucking ghetto, and this looks nicer than the quote-unquote ghetto I've been to.
And a whole new thing we're launching, so. But anyway,
Amber says, looking more into it for you, according to what we're reading, inquisitorial systems like France are structured in a way where the court's job is to investigate and determine truth, rather than hearing arguments and deciding who argued better, i.e. the court itself is a fact-finding institution. Interesting. That would probably make for very good legal dramas. It's almost like a mystery, but the court's the detective.
let's go in and do the normal way of doing this for right now here, so.
Listen to the, oh my god, listen to this trendy ass fucking, it's the ghetto. You just walked into a fucking gentrified ass trendy dispensary. Do you fucking hear this place? Go fuck yourself.
Order that's going to come in a few days, but for right now I'm still making do with this, so. But I got new cards coming, a whole new thing we're launching, so. But anyway, let's go in and do the normal way of doing this for right now here, so.
Yeah, no, this isn't as bad as an area as he's acting, I don't think.
What do they have for stuff today?
Or that he imagines. I'm not saying he's necessarily intentionally lying. I think we all are aware that Marcel is prone to delusion. So it's possible in his head the neighborhood is more dangerous than it is in reality. He really thinks he's a badass. Altered Undying says, Canadian here, what I've seen in Ontario, our bad areas are nowhere near as bad as the States. I'm not sure on reservations, which I've heard are very bad. Yeah, I would imagine. Indigenous people have been getting fucked all over the Americas for centuries, which is disgusting and awful.
Hey, brother, how you doing? Good. I'm just recording a podcast thing. I won't put you in it though if you don't want to be.
Okay.
Can I get?
Yeah, I'm also getting the vibe that he's calling it the ghetto because it's an area where a lot of non-white people live, and I think he just thinks, oh, any area that's not primarily white people is the ghetto. Yikes.
One of the boost drinks on the left, and then the orange on the right. So far left and far right, one of each.
That's kind of interesting. The dispensaries in Canada are a little different. In the United States, they have to have sort of a double lock thing, almost like an airlock system where you walk in the first door and then they check your ID and then you can go into the second door where all the actual weed is. I think he just walked in. I think that makes sense. I just noticed it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I think I have a couple grams free from points, so let's maybe check that. And if I do, I'll grab that. If not,
Fuck yeah! Point systems at dispensaries rule.
I'll buy some. But
Okay.
204-899-7334.
Stop with the music, dispensary! I'm begging you! The copyright! Not in Portland? Okay, it might just be a Michigan thing then. Jitara says he keeps saying stuff like, yeah, clearly I'm a tough guy because I'm walking around like this and nobody bothers me even though I have a chain on. I've known guys who would press Marcel for acting this confident in their hood, chain or no chain.
Am I at the 2.5 gram one?
Yeah, you're at 2.5, but we don't have the flour.
Okay.
You want the pre-rolls? 2.5 gram pre-rolls, pack of 5.
Yeah, let's do that.
That's
I wonder how much the weed prices are in Canada.
Indica, if I could.
Indica?
Yeah,
Alright.
please. Thank
ID?
you. Oh, yes.
That's a good choice for him. I think he needs to calm the fuck down. Altered Undying says, Canadian weed buyer here. No airlocks. Sometimes people at the front and a barrier between the door and the sales floor, but no locks. Makes sense.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure, because it's the points thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to show my ID in the podcast here. So you guys can see
No! Making sure he doesn't show his ID on
there. You
screen.
can see the all rights reserved. So that's how
Hold on. Let me take a look at this. Well, you can't see it. Give me a sec. Is this even a real ID? Hold
you
on.
keep private law in your legal ID, but it still meets the term points thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to show my ID in the podcast here. So you guys can see there.
I don't know what Canadian IDs look
You can see
like.
the all rights reserved. So that's how you keep private law in your legal ID, but it's
I don't know if it's... They're giving him this stuff, so it's gotta be a legal ID. I would imagine they wouldn't give him the weed if it wasn't a legal ID.
still meets the term, so then they can acknowledge it, and I can get my free joints.
They were, Amber. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Indica, right?
Yeah, in the company.
Does weed mellow him out? It might sedate him,
Thank you, bro. And I'll probably
which maybe in his case is not the worst thing.
get through that
Send you a pic. I'm gonna not do that.
today and come back and buy some more
I don't need to know that bad. I believe it's a real ID. They gave him the weed.
later anyway. But
Yep.
I know all rights reserved wouldn't be on there, but it's possible he just wrote it. I couldn't see it. He might have put a sticker. I couldn't see the ID in full.
you guys can see they have all kinds of lovely stuff there.
Stop with the music!
And the main thing about vaccines and harm, they delete
Oh, Jesus! He's talking about vaccines!
It's still monetized on Rumble?
see our work and check it out. All these people are going to work and shit, living their slave lives, and that's where I'm living freedom. And I just want you guys to understand freedom. What it
I
looks
hate people who act like this, by the way. Holy shit. The denigration of people working, like, jobs pisses me off.
like. And again, I'm literally in the ghetto, walking around with my chains, everything. No one's trying to jack me or nothing, because again, they know. I'm known.
Yeah, most people aren't getting jacked around you. Do you think people are just getting fucking robbed constantly, like it's a Naked Gun sketch?
And I'm not suggesting you go and do this in downtown Winnipeg, but I do it all day, every day, because I'm the fucking man. And that's where I'm serious, I'm real, and anyone who wanted to try and fuck with me is a poser, and they'd find out how real I am if they tried. So within that, I hope you guys enjoyed the little tour. And again, it is all brown people around here, but the weed store guys are good. The North End store there
Racist.
is good. You know, the 7-Eleven guys I don't really like as much, but they deal with...
Official government source. None of these are real IDs, but what they look like is accurate. Let me take a look. Okay, I think it might be a real ID. He might have just stuck a sticker on it or something, which I don't know if you're allowed to do, but they didn't give him a hard time about it.
a lot of shit, and they have a lot of turnover. So, you guys, this is me out in the world. Now we're gonna head back in and back to the office, baby. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little tour. I'm gonna go and smoke my joint. I'm gonna get out of my dress shirt here before I do it. Got my creamer and chocolate bars and THC.
Does he live at his office? Because, like, he wouldn't go to his office to smoke weed, right? He's got to be living there.
Drinks, and now I'm gonna just work through the day. I'm kind of taking today to relax a little bit more, so I'm probably just gonna watch videos, but I do get bored. That's one of the things, I get bored sitting around waiting for the world to happen and catch up.
No, this isn't a home office. This is an office home.
So that's why I tend to get baked and stuff, because there's not enough real work to do every day. There is enough real work, but I just...
Like, this area, I don't think is zoned for housing. It's supposed to be an office space that he's living in. And I'm no narc. I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna fucking enforce Winnipeg zoning laws. Just interesting.
So, I am officially back in the office. Woohoo!
Yeah, he did shave his head in there. True. Okay, yeah, he must be living there.
Here we go. Back to my empire, where life is on my terms, and it's not a joke. Because I'm not in the legal system, even though I walked through it and around it. Yeah, so again, don't forget, Canada's a corporation.
He's watching Hannah VODs. Oh, that's weird. He probably does. Because he talks about me a lot. He watches my videos when I cover him. So that means that my videos sometimes probably play on his TV while he's smoking weed. Hi, Marcel! Take a hit. Do it. Take a hit. Do it. Take a hit. I did it.
Think of as a government as a corporation, forgotten freedom sharing our success, political support. Again, these are our programs that we have available. Franchise programs, come learn. Proof that the province actually recognizes our programs by paying people who are on social assistance, disability. This is the
Alton Undying says, I get 10 milligram single gummies for $3 Canadian each. So it's more expensive than the US, or at least Michigan.
nonprofit bank accounts that we've had, and Chamber of Commerce, Marcel, the Family Beset Peacemaker Society.
You can get a bag of gummies in Michigan that's 200 milligrams split between 4 gummies for $8.
And again, you guys can see Canada Post.
Sorry, $5 now. They actually reduced the price again. You can get 200 milligrams of gummies for $5. Truly, the future is horrifying. But, like, that's pretty cool.
Accounts we've had with them. Newspaper. Published, international conferences. All the case law. And again,
Why is weed so cheap there? Oversaturated market.
mastermind room.
Literally, in the city I live in, I think there's like 20 different dispensaries. It's an oversaturated market.
$25,000, $10,000 to $25,000 painting, $1,000 poker table, badass chairs, $1,000 each throne chairs, $300 rug. Fuck Trudeau. Podcast setup. Again, $1,000 fucking armor. Cool ass shit. Got my thick ass chain. Gold watch. Gold chain. I love my life, you guys. It's fucking amazing. I want yours to be amazing too. So come on your freedom, privatelawtrust.org. This is the second video today, and peace.
I'm glad he stopped freaking out like he was before. He seems a little chiller than during his super manic thing, so that's good. Still wish he'd get help, but, you know. I doubt that's gonna happen. How's Russell J. Gould doing?
So if somebody's writing in Babel, or in fiction, or otherwise known as Babylon, and somebody's got their words confused, and that's why that story is there, historical story.
Why did he do an AI picture of the Tower of Babel? Do you know how many illustrations of the Tower of Babel there are? AI people piss me off. You could literally find real pictures drawn by real people with intent and passion, and you did this? Jitara says, I love my life, you guys. I don't know, that 5-hour rant implies otherwise, Marcel.
Story of Babylon in the biblical fraudulent grammar Bibles that most of us have taken a look at. The storyline is there where the Tower of Babel, which is a pronoun, adverb, verb, it created.
I'm sorry, did you just say the Tower of Babel is a pronoun, adverb, verb? It's a noun.
Confusion, right? So all the languages were confused.
Proper noun.
So when you have confusion in language, no one knows what's going on. Therefore, this is why the U.S. judicial system has a money scam called the Bar Association, or the attorneys. We'll all get to sit around and argue about what these words mean or don't mean. So what I did is we articulated a quantum syntax.
Oh, that makes you look legitimate. I like that he edited a lot of the video and then he thought, you know, it would really lend credence to my beliefs if I show myself holding an American flag with no shirt on in the desert. That's someone I trust.
Harnessing everything in the now space, taking out the ambiguity of words to make words mean what they say and say what they mean. Therefore, attorneys can't sit around and argue about what the words mean. The only thing that
you always have to. It's always subjective. There's no getting around that.
can be looked at is the condition of thinking of why the performances of the facts.
I actually have that video saved, Amber, from Skepchick. I haven't watched it yet, but I saved it literally thinking, oh, I don't know what this is about, but whatever it is, it sounds like a topic I would cover. So I was gonna watch that and see what it's about and see if it's something I need to investigate for stream.
Were created. Who created them? Why they were created. And so now by using the verb of thinking in the quantum grammar sentence structure, now we can find out who, what, why, and where. Why are these facts being used? Why are we going to war? Who's articulating the war? Do they have the authority to go to war?
Who's articulating war?
Nobody on the history of this planet has ever had the correct authority to go to war because they're too stupid, because they can't read and write, and because they've been dumbed down on purpose to keep them out of control of their own destiny of who they are. People don't know
Any
who they
Chief Motto today? I actually hadn't looked up what he'd done. He hadn't posted in about a month. I can look after this video.
are.
Take a look at Motto's America. Nah, he hasn't posted in a month. Last thing he did was very boring. It was just a video where he was talking with someone else and seemingly trying to pull him into his sphere of influence, but it wasn't particularly interesting. I made it sound more interesting than it is. It's mostly just a conversation between two older guys. It's a little funny, but not enough to cover on stream. Okay, I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. I will be right back. While I'm gone, Chair will tell you about, Capricorn 1. Moon landing conspiracy theorists ripped off the book this is based on to develop moon landing conspiracy theories. Be right back.
Is that there is a massive law that says that you can't be punished for having rights. You can't be punished for having rights. And so, you know, if you have the right to an indictment by a grand jury because someone has an obligation to ensure that you have, or someone has an obligation to make sure that you have a jury trial, as you know, codified in Amendment 6, as codified in Article 3. You know, if you have the right to a trial by jury, that's your right because someone else has the obligation to do it. So, you know, when they say to you, when a prosecutor says to you, well, you know what, if you plead guilty right now, and if you don't come and testify, and you don't defend yourself, and you don't make us have to actually, you know, deliver on the obligations that we have, then we'll let you go right now. You know, we'll if you sign a plea bargain, we'll let you go, you're free. But if you exercise your rights to defend yourself and make us actually have to do what we're already constitutionally
I'm not going to cover that because he's a sovereign citizen, but I actually kind of agree on the point about plea bargains and how it adds sort of unfortunate incentive structures into the legal system. So maybe not that.
Your Honor, those were all the matters I had the opportunity to speak to at the moment. I could do a breakout room with two folks. I will highlight for the court's attention that Mr. Leonard Blatt is present in the courtroom.
This is probably the last video we'll do today. It's a little over 30 minutes long. We might skip through it a little bit because there's some dead air time, but this is a courtroom video of a sovereign citizen. That's pretty interesting.
I briefly conversed with Mr. Blatt, and he is confident in his desire and decision to move forward today without the assistance of counsel of my office, but just highlighting for the court's attention that he's present in the courtroom, Mr. Leonard Blatt.
Okay, sir. So are you Leonard Saber Blatt?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And did you have a chance? So you're here today for an arraignment. And the purpose, did you have a chance to speak with the public defender about your rights or what an arraignment means?
I declined to speak with him.
Okay.
The bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that works out for him.
Can I ask who you are?
Yes.
Who are you? Where are we? What are we doing? Nice robe, by the way.
So I am a pro tem judge. So I am pro tem Judge July Simpson, and I'm
Toreador says narrator. It did not.
here. So I am the judge, the gentleman that was just here, Mr. Stashevsky. He was the public defender, and over here is Mr. Clark. He's the prosecutor representing the state.
Yesterday, I went to get the oaths of office and bonding information on all the judges of the court, but I didn't.
Again with the bonding information. Why do all of these fucking sovereign citizens think all cops and judges have bonds? They don't. I do not get this. Like, I don't know, some states might have that for cops. I have never heard of a judge having a bond. Because they're, like, immune. They're judicially immune from, like, getting sued for their bench decisions. What are you talking about?
Didn't get yours because you weren't on the website as one of the judges. Do you have an oath of office on file?
So I am a pro tem or a part-time judge.
Mhm.
And so there's a variety of those judges who work to fill in for the regular judges. I have taken an oath of office. I don't know what where they store those.
At the assessor's office.
So that's, you know, I was sworn in by the chief judge, but do you have, are you prepared to go forward today?
I don't even know what, I haven't seen the criminal complaint.
Okay, are we able to assist with that?
I believe we can.
Yeah, if you could print out,
That is funny. He tries to throw up the roadblock. I haven't even seen the criminal complaint. Oh, we have a printer. Well, here you go.
Mr. Blatt's
Just a Peach says they're not plumbers. Maybe the Sovsits are all blue-collar workers who need a bond. No, it's not that. They've been told that from some guru. It's just in the mythology, free-floating at this point. I don't know who originated that idea, but like a lot of sovereign citizen mythology, it basically gives an incentive to make sovereign citizens think somehow through engaging in this sovereign citizen bullshit, not only will they get away with whatever they're being charged with, they'll also get super rich. They'll sue the judge, or they'll find their secret, like, bank account, you know? It's all part of the mythology.
Paperwork.
Actually, it's just a citation. I believe the court may have that on file. However, if you don't, I can once again just send it over.
Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to get those printed out for you. Why don't you take a moment to look over them? The purpose of today is just to make sure that you understand the charges against you and the rights that you have. Including your...
Toreador says, honey, the real criminal complaint is that hair. You haven't seen it You haven't seen it explains why you left your house like that.
The right to public counsel if you qualify for it. I would strongly urge you to speak with Mr. Stashevsky. He's here today and he can advise you of your rights. I could advise you, but in case you have questions, that's your opportunity to speak with someone for purposes of today to better understand what we're doing here today.
I don't speak to the public defender because public defenders have advised me to perjure myself in court. And I suppose you've noticed I didn't stand when you came into the courtroom.
He feels the need to point it out. Ma'am, Your Honor, I don't know if you noticed, I was very disrespectful to you earlier. Did you note that? Note that.
Nothing against you personally. I don't know you, but the U.S. Supreme Court has held that physical gestures are a form of speech, and standing is a sign.
Sir, she didn't even bring it up. Clearly she doesn't care. Whatever point you're trying to make is moot. She didn't give a shit. Like, you can tell he was gonna, like, stay seated, and he was really expecting her to be like, why aren't you standing for me? But, like, she didn't give a shit. So now he's gotta bring it up, because he had a whole speech prepared. And he's not just gonna let that imaginary scenario not happen, so he's gotta manufacture it.
Sign of respect for the court, and I have no respect for Washington courts. There's too much corruption, unprofessionalism, and arbitrary behavior. So I don't speak with public defenders because they've advised me to perjure myself in that. In the state of Washington, if you're a man accused of anything by a woman, you're presumed guilty until proven guilty.
Oh, God. We're doing this today. We're doing this today, really, man? Fuck.
Whereas in jurisdictions where they go by the rule of law, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty. And if you're falsely accused, for example, of domestic violence, if you actually committed the crime, you can bail out of court. And as long as you don't contact the other person, you won't go back to jail. But if you're falsely accused, I don't think I have the court's attention. If you're falsely accused, you cannot bail out because the court notifies your false accuser that you're released, and that gives her a blank check to have you arrested again. And every few weeks, the public defender comes to the jail cell and gives you the good news that you can be released as long as you perjure yourself that you committed the crime. All you have to do is sign the paper and a no contact order will be issued. And I told these people, I can't certify under penalty of perjury that I committed the crime because I didn't. And the public defenders will tell you, yes, but I know you're not guilty, but all the guys get out this way. Just sign and you can go home.
What is this? I understand. You don't like the idea of a plea deal. Fine. What does this have to do with your current case? Toreador says, I'm sure this is just an example and not actually related to why he's here in a courtroom today.
Oh. When you're trying to make a decision whether to plead guilty or not, you need to know how long you're going to stay in jail. But in the state of Washington, there's no longer a speedy trial right. In the court rules, now they can extend, the courts can extend your stay in jail by 5 days at a time, indefinitely.
So, sir, what we're going to do at this point is I'll say for the record that we have some disagreements about the law. We have some agreements.
I have no disagreements about the law. I like the law. My problem is that the judges of the Washington courts don't obey the law.
I like the law as long as it is exactly what I think it is.
So, sir, what I'm going to do is
This guy wants to argue so bad. Oh, you can tell he spent like at least a week sitting there imagining all the scenarios and coming up with little witty repartees and fucking trying to come up with like, ooh, good lines to really own the judge. Like, he's got the vibe of a guy who, like, really expected this to go differently. He keeps trying to, like, contort it back into his fantasy version of the scenario.
I'll give you a chance to review the documents before you. I'm going to take a break until there are some other matters ready, and that'll give you some time to review those documents, and then I'll come back onto the bench, and we'll proceed from there.
Okay, I don't know if I'm recorded on the record as saying I have no problem with the law. I pay good money to the legislatures in Olympia to pass laws for my benefit. Problem is, judges, I'm not talking about you, I don't know you, but judges in the state of Washington are free to disobey the law and flout the law.
I hit X to doubt on that.
And it's like an endemic culture of corruption in the state of Washington.
Ooh,
it's not
endemic.
Only in the courts, it's in the law enforcement. I used to work for the Seattle Police Department, specifically the SPOG, Seattle Police Officers Guild, which is the police union. And they had me going out every day, picking up checks from businesses. And these businesses were paying money to have advertising space in a publication the police were supposed to be printing. But it was a fraud. It was white collar crime that the police were.
Unironically hilarious if that was true. I don't know it to be true. I don't trust this guy. Kind of a funny story if that's true, where the police are basically racketeering. Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs. Thank you very much.
Committing. And people.
Yeah, isn't he admitting, like, he's claiming he's a party to this alleged crime?
Were telling me, hey, I'm not going to pay you this year because the publication has never been published and I haven't seen it. So I would go back to headquarters and say, listen, I'm getting complaints from people that we're committing fraud, but we're the police. I keep telling
Toriador says it's never Rico.
Telling them we're the police. We don't commit crimes. We fight crimes. Can I have a copy of the publication we're printing so I can show them? Well, look, we're out of copies. Well, can you tell me where they're distributed so I can pick them up and show them? Look, we pay you, right? We pay you to go pick up these checks, so why don't you just be quiet? Well, it's embarrassing when people accuse me of being part of a criminal activity. And so at this point, the police started leaving the phone booths, their panels, just surrounding me, threatening to beat me up if I told anyone.
What does this have to do with anything?
Take a moment. I want to express that to the extent that you've had negative interactions with our judicial system, that I am, personally appalled by that, and hope that that's not, the system that we are working under. I believe.
Yeah, like, what else is she supposed to say to this? Like, does he want her to adjudicate this random fucking thing? I don't understand what the purpose is. I understand he's trying to illustrate that he feels that the system is corrupt, but, like, does he expect her to hear that anecdote and then go, all right, you're free to go, sir. The system is fucked up, so you get to do whatever you want. Case dismissed. Like, that's not how this works. Not how any of this works. You can trust me, I have a gavel and cat ears.
In our judicial system, otherwise I wouldn't be here today. Again, the purpose of today is an arraignment to ensure that you understand the charges that have been brought against you. We went ahead and printed a copy off for you to review. You've declined to speak with the public defender. So at this point, I'm going to give you some time to review the documents that we've printed out for you. Make sure that you understand that. I'm going to take a break from the bench until there's some other matters ready, and then I'll come back and we'll take up some other matters, including yours.
Okay, and I need some information about your official bond. Where is
There
it
isn't
filed
one.
and in what amount?
So let's, like I said, I'm going to take a break. Please go ahead and take a moment to review the documents, and then I'll come back and we'll readdress this matter.
Okay, I'm charged with driving with a suspended driver's
The
license.
name's Bond. Judicial Bond.
Sir, I'm going to take a break, and then when there are some other matters ready, I'm going to take your matter up again, including yours.
Okay.
Thank you. Have you had sufficient time to review the documents? I haven't. You have not? Or would you like more
Stay on
time?
the record. I have not been served a criminal complaint, and court.
Literally, they gave it to you. We saw them give it. We saw them give it to you. Also, you're here, so obviously you knew there's a criminal complaint.
Rule 2.1 requires a criminal complaint unless there's an exception. Has the prosecutor claimed any exception to the requirement of a criminal complaint?
Your Honor, the state will just note that that in the state of Washington, a law enforcement agency can indeed file a direct citation with the court, and the prosecution can go off of that.
Wait. Is this not even like a criminal thing? This is like a citation? Like, this is like a ticket. Are you fucking me? Are you kidding? What are you talking about? He's doing the... I hope I'm misunderstanding that. I hope I'm misunderstanding that he's making this big of a deal out of a fucking ticket. Toreador says, Dr. Wiley does not seem to be doing well in the 21st century.
That is correct, but Court Rule 2.1C, excuse me, B, subsection B, requires that the citation be signed. And what I've been handed is a citation and notice that is unsigned.
Okay.
Ticket for driving without a license, typical Sobsit stuff. Hydrate, will do.
Further, excuse me, also, it hasn't been timely filed with the court, so I move to dismiss the case.
I know your motion.
Denied.
Your motion is denied. These are matters that they have been put on the record. They're matters that you can raise later. What we're here for today is an arraignment. So we're
I'm gonna start my own stupid fake court show. I'm just gonna have people with stupid grievances come on my stream, and I'm just gonna arbitrarily decide who wins.
Gonna go through.
Who wants me to decide their problems for them? I might make it worse, but it won't be your fault, and that'll make you feel better, probably.
Arraignment process.
You can blame me.
And then you can go through, and so what I'm going to do first is...
The prosecutor hasn't moved to dismiss to deny my motion. He hasn't responded. You're supposed to be neutral, right? It's supposed to be an adversarial process. And the prosecutor, we don't know what his position is.
Well, let's go ahead and take the prosecutor's position. What is your position, Mr. Clark?
Yes, Your Honor, state will note that that there is a signature, is an e-signature with the officer's name and his badge number. So on those grounds, the state will will stand against the dismissal.
The court rule does not provide for an e-signature. It says signed.
If you would just give me one moment, I apologize again. I recognize this is the second time I've done this. I did just get a notification that there was a message for me. So just take a moment and I will be right back with you. I'm gonna see what the message is.
Okay.
And we will retake up your matter.
All right.
Thank you, sir. All right.
This is funny. She ends up recusing herself, by the way, and a different judge comes in. So prepare yourself for that.
We are back on the record.
Because basically, I think she said she's like a pro tem judge, and he complains and is like, I want a real judge. And she's like, fuck it, fine. I'm gonna go get a different judge.
The matter of Mr. Leonard Blatt.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Just for the record, the state will note that RCW 1.80.061 states that a record or signature.
She's new at this poor thing. Yeah, she's pro tem, so she's like probably not been doing this very long and deals with pretty simple like matters. I would imagine this is probably a lot.
may not be denied its legal effect or enforceability solely because it is an electronic form. The state will also note that Court Rule 2.1B1
Good
states
experience, though. You know, if you do plan on taking the track in your career to become like a full judge, you're gonna have to deal with sovereign citizens. So, not bad experience for her.
that whenever a person is arrested pursuant to the statute of violation, which is punishable as a misdemeanor or gross misdemeanor, the arresting officer may serve upon the person a citation and notice to appear in court. So on all of these motions, the state would ask that.
I would agree. I think she's doing well, considering it feels like this is her first time dealing with a sovereign citizen.
I mean, on all of these purposes, the state will ask that the motion be denied.
I need to see the statute and see the notations
You do not. That's not how this works.
on it before I can respond to that.
Absolutely.
I'd like to note a motion hearing for that.
So what we're going to do is.
You want a whole set? This is a ticket. They are not going to set another hearing. They're not going to do a whole thing. It's a fucking ticket. Pay it or argue that you shouldn't have to pay it. We are not setting motion hearings for your traffic ticket.
We're not going to be hearing any motions today. I understand that
You said it's her second time on the bench. Oh no! You know? Trial by fire. Toreador says she's being a very amicable amicus. Ooh, wordplay.
do have some motions, and what I'd like to invite you to do is to file those motions in writing with the court, serve a copy on the prosecutor, and then that'll be scheduled. Your motions will be scheduled for a motions calendar.
Oh my god, they are doing a motions hearing! All right.
Okay, and I have an objection to the citation and complaint not being timely filed.
So that's another motion that you can file. So today, the sole purpose of today is that we're going to go through the arraignment process. So we're going to get you arraigned and we'll handle that. And then after that, you are welcome to file any motions that you would like in writing. Serve them on the prosecutor.
Is it big enough that this was a criminal thing? Because if he's getting arraigned, then it's not just... Am I crazy? You do an arraignment, an entire arraignment, just for a ticket? Usually that's its own separate thing.
They will be heard on motions.
Okay, and the court rules state that any appearance waives any objection to the complaint or citation and notice. So I have to withdraw my appearance.
So what we'll do—
You're withdrawing your appearance?
—is we, does the state have a position on that before I state what?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, a position on what, Your Honor?
Oh, this poor woman.
You indicated that the—
I can restate what I said. The court rules state that when somebody appears in court, that is construed as a waiver to any objections to the citation and complaint, a citation and notice or complaint. So I have to withdraw my appearance.
So what I propose is that we note your objection and to preserve it for a future hearing.
I feel so bad because you can tell she's just lost, and I don't blame her. Like, I don't know how familiar she is with sovereign citizen stuff in general, but like, if you're used to, and this is only your second time on the bench, you're prepared to deal with arguments that even if they're bad arguments, they make sense, you know? They're usually arguments being made by a lawyer, you know? Or even a less irrational pro se who's trying to go by the law. This is nonsense, you know? Like trying to play chess with a pigeon. Like, how do you respond? Like, they're not playing by the rules. You're used to adjudicating by the rules, but they're so far off base. How do you even begin to address it?
And
now, to be clear, we've seen many judges do just that, but they have years of experience. She does not, so I'm not surprised she's struggling.
Proceed forward with the arraignment unless you would like to. That would be my suggestion.
State would agree.
Are you comfortable with proceeding with the arraignment with your?
Can you repeat? I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood you. Could you repeat what you said?
Yeah, so why don't we note for the record your objection to preserve your objection? And one thing that I could do is I could also step off and make sure that that will preserve your objection for you to determine what we should do. My view is that we should move forward with the arraignment, but I'm also willing to step off the bench and ensure that that right is preserved for you.
I'm sorry. So
Mute your phone.
the two choices.
Oh, he's got the same phone as me. Got the thing. That's a shame.
Choices are proceed or you step off the bench.
For a moment, so that I can consult with another judge to determine.
You know, I'm really big on accountability and responsibility for one's actions. That's why I require a signature. So at some point along the line, someone's responsible for accusing me. And I also think I have a right to a judge, nothing personally against you, but I need somebody who can be held accountable for their actions. And it's easier to hold a judge accountable than a pro tem because they have an official bond on file. I'm not sure if a magistrate or pro tem does.
So pro tems, there is an oath of office on file. Pro tems are not required to file bonds, but what I think I hear you're saying is that you do have a right to request an elected judge to come hear your case. And so I do have one available who can come and step on and handle this matter for you.
Okay, yes, I also just would like to add.
It's not a mobile phone, it's a traveling phone. All right, chat joke of the day, you and Toreador. That's funny.
That the reason that bond is so important.
You also have that phone. Does my phone not have a case? It does. It's just a thin case. It's an official Samsung one, so it just fits very snug. There was one on the front too, but that part broke. So I actually don't on the front, though I do have like a screen cover.
Important is because sitting on a bench as a judge is a potentially hazardous
activity. Look into my spirally phone, chat. Are you hypnotized by my purpley... Whatever. That's not even a bit. What are you doing?
Just like driving a motor vehicle is a potentially hazardous activity, which requires the driver to have insurance. The bond is equal to insurance for a driver.
Yes. So at this point, what I understand you to be saying is that you are expressing your request for an elected judge to hear this matter, which is your right to do. And I'm going to step off the bench and I will have an elected bench step on specifically for your matter, and we can get this proceeding on its way. Okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. All right.
I feel bad for her, you know? What a rough second time at the fucking bench. Good experience, but damn, that is brutal.
All right, Pearson County District Court now in session. Judge Sam Meyer presiding.
You can be seated.
Okay, so unfortunately, I believe for the rest of this, we don't really see the other guy, at least not often. Most of it's on the judge, but same guy.
I'm on here just to hear one.
This other woman who's on screen is another defendant who's there for Zoom court. She's just going to be on screen because of how Zoom court works.
Case. Yeah. So Leonard Blatt. Which one is Leonard Blatt? Oh, you can come on up and take a seat.
Did he say, oh, you?
So, Mr. Blatt.
Yeah, never put a camera below you. Eye level or above. Eye level or above, people. Never down here. At least here. Ideally here. There's a reason the camera's up here and not further down.
So, Mr. Blatt, you're here on a few things. First thing, on cause number 5A0421-962, You're charged with 1 count of failure to transfer title within 45 days, 1 count of driving with license.
Okay, I see. So it's not just like a traffic ticket thing. I understand. Okay.
Suspended in the 3rd degree, 1 count of a trip permit violation.
This
and then
judge takes what he says as a threat. Yeah, doesn't he say, like, it's dangerous to be a judge or something stupid?
there's also a trailing infraction of operating a motor vehicle without insurance. Anytime anybody is charged with a crime, they have a number of rights. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, I can
See, when he was saying citation earlier, it made me think it was just a traffic court thing, but no, some of these are criminal charges. Okay.
An attorney to represent you at little or no cost. Did you hear those rights?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about them?
No.
Okay. As I said at the outset there, you have the right to be have an attorney appointed to represent you. Do you wish to have court-appointed counsel? Are you going to hire an attorney, or you also have the right to represent yourself if you can do that? Do you have a?
I'm not sure at this point I need to hire counsel.
I'm sorry?
I'm not sure at this point I need an attorney.
Okay. And then do you want to, Mr. Shashevsky, he's there from the Office of Public Defense. I can appoint his office to represent you. It may or may not be him. Is that something you're interested in, or are you going to represent yourself for a period of time? You can always readdress this issue at some point in the future. I just need to know where you're headed today.
Well, as I said, I'm not sure at this point that I need an attorney.
Okay. Well, you have the right to one. Whether we can debate whether you actually need one. It's been my experience when people are charged with the crime.
Sir, he just needs you to say you don't want an attorney. He's trying to get specific words for the fucking colloquy so we can continue. Say you don't want an attorney. Don't just say, I don't think I need one. Say you don't want one.
They generally benefit from having one. But if you...
I'm bad at following social cues, and even I understand what's going on here. This is not hard to get. Say you don't want an attorney.
You know, at this point, based on what you said, I won't appoint an attorney at this point. But if you wish to readdress that at some point, you can do that. You know, in terms about whether you need one, I think it's a good idea to have one, but you were going to say something?
Yes, it's been my experience that attorneys in the state of Washington advise their clients to perjure themselves in court when they're charged with domestic violence.
Oh, is he gonna do the whole spiel again? Is he gonna tell the whole story again to this judge? I'm telling you, for weeks he thought this script through. He's like, I'm gonna tell this story and they're gonna understand the whole system's broken.
Okay, so hang on just a second. I'm gonna stop you there for a second. This case does not involve domestic violence. This is a simple, just stop for a minute. Let me finish, please. And so, and I can't speak to your experience outside of this court. You know, I don't want to get previous experiences you have with an attorney or not get in the way of what we're doing here now. It's just a simple yes or no question. You whether want an attorney appointed to represent you or not. And if the answer to that's no, then we're going to proceed. And if the answer to that's yes, then I'll appoint your public defense, and then we'll go from there. Or you can hire someone. I tend to doubt that every attorney in the entire state, if any, do what you say, but you can hire an attorney of your own choice if you wish to do that. Well, I'm sure you could find someone. So what do you get? But what I need to know right now, I don't want to get into a philosophical discussion about what attorneys do or don't do in, you know, outside of this particular case. I just need to know whether or not you're interested in having an attorney appointed to represent you or not. And that's a yes. I'm asking you a yes or no question.
Well, let's just say that because of the...
No! Say no! Say no! Say no! So frustrating.
Conduct I've witnessed by attorneys that I boycott.
Just say no.
Okay, so I'm going to take that as a no, and so I won't appoint an attorney to represent you at this time. But at the same time, again, I'll tell you again, and you're probably going to get told a few times over the course of this case. You can readdress this issue if you wish to do that. So Who's handling this for the state? Mr. Clark, is that you?
I am, Your
I'm going
Honor.
to swear you in. Could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
Do you swear and affirm the information testimony you provide will be the truth? If a probable cause is established, then I can set conditions of release. I swore in the prosecutor because I'll take his sworn testimony, which can include hearsay and reports from others, to establish probable cause. If I'm satisfied that probable cause exists for the charge going forward, the charge will go forward. We'll set conditions of release. We'll set a court date. I'll give you a court date. And then that'll probably conclude the hearing here for today. So Mr. You're going to say something?
This might be the longest arraignment I've ever sat through. Like, it just feels like it, because nothing's happening.
Yes, I'm confused because he can be
I believe he's confused. That's probably true.
sworn in under penalty of perjury, but he's not a witness to anything.
He's not.
So,
But he's what he is for the purpose of setting conditions of release. And the case is not being tried right now. And so he's not.
Does he think that the prosecution is perjuring himself because he's relaying the information provided in the report the police officer gave? Because that's not how this works. It's their job to do that. What are you talking about? That's not perjury.
Not a witness, but he's the representative from the prosecuting attorney's office. He's an officer of the court. This is more of an offer of proof to show what sort of evidence would be presented if this were to proceed to trial. And again, nothing's being proven here today. It's just I want to know, and when judges
I want to know, can you show me?
Do when they're setting conditions of release, if probable cause
I want to watch Tarzan.
exists, if an offer of proof could be made that probable cause exists for the charge going forward. And that's what I'm going to hear from him today. And so then when he's going to say that, that's, it's not going to be tried in front of me. Ultimately, if this case might eventually be tried in front of a jury, not me, but I'm just asking him to do this simply for the purpose of, again, whether I can be satisfied that probable
Lori got a hydrate command, apparently.
cause exists for the charge going forward and for setting conditions of release and having the case move forward.
What do you mean, boo Phil Collins? You booing Sue Studio? Go fuck yourself. Go Sue suck a dick.
So, Mr. Clark, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. On April 10th, 2025 at about 9 p.m., the officer stopped the defendant on Old Highway 99.
Don't shit on my adult contemporary.
For expired registration. At that time, the officer noted to have seen a Washington trip permit in the window that was dated November 21st.
Carposian. How can you not at least like the Tarzan soundtrack? Are you kidding me? It slaps. It goes so hard. It didn't need to, but it does. Even if you don't like him, how can you not like it? It's good.
1st, 2024, the defendant was ID'd via his Washington driver's license. A records check advised the defendant was suspended / revoked in the 3rd degree.
In the air tonight.
And at that time, he spoke with the defendant.
That song from Genesis where the video has the puppets?
Who stated that he had bought his car, he had bought it for his son, bought that car for his son and never transferred it to him.
Says, Sue, suck a dick. That's the joke I made, although worded a little better. I missed one of the Sues.
As he lived in Minneapolis.
There's a pretty good heavy metal cover of Land of Confusion that I have on my playlist, too. I don't know who it's by.
And that is all. Those are the facts, Your Honor.
Okay, and so you're seeking probable cause for
Disturbed, thank you. Yes, Disturbed did a cover that's pretty good.
the trip permit and the failure to transfer title. I see the DWLS in the 3rd and the trip permit.
Yes, Your Honor.
And
All
then-
3 charges.
And the failure to transfer title.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Blatt, I will find that probable cause exists for the charge going forward.
Hey, Bronze
Doesn't mean the
Golem.
state's
How's
proved
it
it
going?
beyond a reasonable doubt. They'll still have to do that at trial. A plea of not guilty will be entered on your behalf.
Objection.
Okay.
There's no plea of not guilty on the record. I'm not.
Okay, it doesn't matter. When you stand mute, it goes to not guilty by default.
No, you haven't. I have entered one on your behalf, and you can, and by your objection, you've preserved that for appeal if you wish to do that. And a not guilty plea preserves all your rights to trial, all the rights that I laid out in that recitation I gave you at the beginning. But a plea of not guilty will be entered in your behalf. I'm doing that. Your objection, I've heard
I
you.
withdraw the plea of not guilty. It is stricken from the record. Please don't give me the bum's rush. Let's do due process here instead of streamlining the process.
Let's do due process. He put in a not guilty plea. That's preserving your due process. That's the point, is to give you your due process because you are assumed not guilty until proven otherwise. You are assumed rather innocent until proven otherwise.
I have some objection.
Toreador says the puppets are by Spitting Image, who was a prolific puppet company that actually had a syndicated show on ITC, BBC Channel 3, for 134 episodes.
To the initiation of the complaint, because I haven't been served a criminal complaint. The court rules require it. 2.1 subsection C requires a criminal complaint be filed.
In courts of limited jurisdiction, in district court, complaints you can also be charged by citation by the charging officer, which has taken place in this case. That's how it got charged, with a citation. If you want a copy of that citation, we can certainly give it to you. You have it.
Yes.
So you can't. So again, I'm not quite done yet. And so again,
Lori's just she's waiting for her court thing. She's just on Zoom.
I'm satisfied that
she's like us. She's but a spectator.
Resolves that issue. If you have issue, and clearly you do, and I'm not trying to give you the bum's rush.
Queen Pib says, I don't know what Lori's in for, but she deserves time served. Agreed. I think all of us, for sitting through this, should get like a free 6 months in jail card. Anytime we get charged with a crime and are found guilty, we have a little 6-month coupon, because that's what it feels like. I think that's fair. Works in Monopoly.
I'm just trying to, I am trying to get through the hearing. And if you have issues, if you want to object to, entering a plea, I can ask you, are you going to enter a plea at all? If you're not going to enter a plea, then again, I think that the law supports me entering a not guilty plea in your behalf, which does preserve all your rights. And and if you have issues, sometimes people attack these sorts of cases on constitutional grounds. They indicate that the licensing statutes are unconstitutional. You can do all that, but you've got to get all that stuff in writing and get it properly before the court in the form.
It's also not going to work, but knock yourself out.
Form of a motion, but you can certainly do that. But the arraignment stage, where we're at now, is just a preliminary stage.
Beltwind asks, can someone kindly explain the issue with pleading not guilty v standing mute? This makes zero sense to me. Okay, so in trial in the United States, in criminal trial in the United States, generally you either plead guilty or not guilty. Pretty self-explanatory. Either you are admitting that you did the crime you are accused of, or you're saying, no, I would like the courts to have to, with their burden of proof, prove beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury or a judge, if it's a bench trial, that I have committed the acts that they are accusing me of. Now, as you would imagine, human beings are irrational, right? Once you're in a court hearing, not involving yourself in it isn't going to do anything, but people are irrational. So historically, of course, some people get brought for arraignment, and like stubborn children, they refuse to plead. They'll just be silent as a form of protest, or they'll just like not want to engage in it. Now, obviously, the system still needs to function even when someone is refusing to engage with it. So, being that you have a right to a trial and that you are presumed innocent, the only thing they can do in that scenario is mark it down as you standing mute, which is effectively a not guilty plea, because they can't just throw you in jail or in prison because you're standing mute. So the only other option is, okay, we're going to have a trial, basically, which is a good thing. People are presumed innocent.
It's kind of the kickoff, if you want to make.
Toreador says, this may come as a shock, but the whole premise of the show was caricature puppets, most of the time of famous people doing zany things. It was very of the time period jokes, since they were able to turn around episodes fairly quickly, since ITC is basically a public access channel. It's similar to MST3K in terms of production, and South Park in terms of content. I am a giant puppet nerd, sorry. Hey, I respect puppetry. Very cool. Not my special interest, but my special interest sometimes intersects with puppetry. I like it a lot, even though that's not my specific thing.
Make a football analogy, and that's where we go from here.
Okay, I understand that, and I agree with that, but I require my public servants to obey the law, because I've witnessed too much flouting of the law.
By the way, Jim Henson's The Storyteller is finally coming out on Blu-ray, so that's pretty cool.
In Washington courts.
Okay.
So yes, I have been served a citation and notice, and that is sufficient to initiate a case. The problem is it's unsigned, and Court Rule 2.1 subsection B requires that it be signed. Now, before you came into the courtroom, prosecutor cited a statute saying that it can be electronically signed, but that conflicts with the court rules, and the court rules take precedent over statute, because the court rules are promulgated by the state Supreme Court, whereas the statute's promulgated by some attorneys in the legislature.
I think there's.
Depraved ambiance. We don't speak of the puppet. Where is the puppet? What did I do with that? The only person in the world who can lose a whole ass puppet. I don't know. Guess they traveled somewhere else.
Okay, well, like I say, you preserved that issue.
The issue should be decided now.
What's that?
Oh no, it escaped. Sopsit T. Strawman might be behind you right now.
No, you need to file appropriate motion and note it up for hearing. Anything else you wish to discuss?
Yes, I have some concerns about whether I'll get a fair trial.
I did find it. I have an ass puppet.
As I understand.
Any ass can be a puppet if you try hard enough. I learned that from Jim Carrey.
This is supposed to be an adversarial process.
Don't tell the puppet you missed them. I'm here. I'm better than the puppet.
But I'm being accused by a police officer who works for the plaintiff. The prosecutor represents the plaintiff. The witness against me is the plaintiff. The jury that's supposed to sit here is selected because of their demonstrated loyalty to the plaintiff by applying for a driver's license when I'm charged with not having a driver's license. So they're inherently biased to begin with. You yourself have a flag behind you that represents the plaintiff. The public defender...
Was that Flimsy Flume? No, it's Flimsy Flume's identical twin, Sopsit T. Strawman.
Is licensed to make a living in the plaintiff's courtroom at the pleasure of the plaintiff. I've been educated by the plaintiff.
Toreador says, when you said any ass can be a puppet if you try hard enough, my mind went a different place than Jim Carrey talking with his butt, a far darker, tighter place. An anus?
If so, how can I get a fair trial in a courtroom where everyone represents the plaintiff?
Well, I'm not going to do far of a deep dive into those things other than to say I don't agree with a lot of what you're saying in terms of who the plaintiff is and whether or not your ability to have a fair trial will be tainted by his job and what he's required to do, or his job and what he's required to do. But and again, I'm going to go back to if you think that you, by that token, I guess if you did take
Sorry, my wife texted me something funny.
that to its logical extreme, no one could ever get a fair trial. I mean, people could do whatever they want, and I could say, like on that, yeah. Well, hear me out for a second. In terms of just as an example of, driving while intoxicated. If I think we would all agree that that's a bad idea. And so hang on just a second, and it is illegal to do that, but if no one could ever get a fair trial because the police are involved, then no one would ever people could just do anything they want, drive,
Yeah,
drunk.
that doesn't make any sense. So what if a murderer got picked up and you're like, ah, but a cop arrested me and cops are bad? Like, okay, systemic problems, very much real. But like, you did a murder in this hypothetical.
All they want, and then they don't have to worry about it because the case would get thrown out, well, because they can't get a fair trial because the police pulled them over. And that doesn't seem to me like to be a great system. But again, I'm going to go back to where, if you have objections, if you have if you have a reason to believe that you can't get a fair trial and you can convince a judge that that's the case, then you need to, again, put all that in writing, make a motion and go forward.
Okay, and I want to make sure the court understands, I'm not an anarchist, and I'm actually glad there's a process for keeping dangerous drivers off the road. Problem is, the court.
He's glad there's a process for dangerous drivers, as long as they don't call him one. No puppet.
Have connected family court with.
Don't encourage it, chat. You're gonna have me develop a terrible puppet addiction. And that kills. Ask Jim Henson. Too soon? No, he's been dead like 30 years. That's probably fine.
Traffic court, and there should be no connection. The family court has power to suspend people's driver's license, and there is no
hang on
due
just a
process
second.
in those courts.
Can I stop you for a second? And that is, this is a common misconception. The courts don't suspend license.
Didn't Jim live to 90? No. What? No. Jim Henson died young of cancer. Unfortunately, Jim Henson was a great guy, and as much as I made a joke there, like, I really respect his work and who he was as a person. Juggle will do.
Right? The Department of Licensing.
Yeah, no, Jim died very tragically and young, and then Disney came in, and they are ironically kind of puppeting his corpse, or at least, some of his creations, which are kind of part of him. Frank Oz is still around, so fair enough to that, but Kermit hasn't sounded right since Jim Henson died. In a wide variety of different ways. Was it pneumonia? Why did I think it was cancer? Toreador says, now you have to watch this. It should be okay, because it's a performance? Oh, this makes me cry. I used to watch this to make me cry. I'm not even joking. When I was very emotionally constipated while I was still in the closet, I used to watch this and it made me cry. Because I needed to cry sometimes. This is at Jim Henson's fucking funeral.
Just one person believes in you. Deep enough and strong enough believes in you. Hard enough.
Sequel to Dark Crystal any good? I haven't seen it.
Enough and long enough. Before you knew it, someone else would think, if he can do it, I can do it. Making it two whole people who believe in you. Deep enough and strong enough, believe in you. Hard enough and long enough, there's bound to be some other person who believes in making it a threesome. Making it three. People you can say, believe in me. And if three whole people, why not four? And if four whole people, why not more? And more, and more. And when all those people believe in you, deep enough and strong enough, believe in you, hard enough and long enough, it stands to reason you yourself would start to see what everybody sees in you. And maybe even you can believe in you too.
They performed that on the Jim Henson special for the Muppets show, too. Also very good.
Does. The court gives information to the Department of Licensing to suspend the license. And so the legislature has decided that certain instances in family law, for example, not paying child support, and that's just one example that I can think of.
Isn't Yoda a Muppet? Yoda's a puppet made by Jim Henson's, like, people, but I don't think he's a Muppet. Muppets have, I think they have to be made of, like, specific materials. Like, the Sesame Street puppets and the Muppets are Muppets. I think the Fraggles also count as Muppets. But, like, not every Jim Henson puppet is a Muppet. You know what I mean? I think it needs to be that felt material. Like, that most of the, you know, Jim Henson, like you know, the Muppets. Fucking felt and shit.
That would suspend your license. So in the family court, if someone doesn't pay...
Like, Hoggle was created by Jim Henson Studios, but Hoggle isn't a Muppet.
Child support, they'll
He's a creature.
That to DOL, and then DOL was the one who supports, who suspends the license. So it's a misnomer, but hang on just a second. And so the family court's not doing that.
I'm just imagining someone tuning into this and be like, oh, sovereign citizens, I like those sometimes, and we're just, like, talking about puppets. I'm sorry.
Legislators decided that's a reason to suspend license, and then the family court's just providing the information to DOL. So if you want to be mad about someone about that, you could probably be mad about the legislature, about the legislature for passing that law. But it's not the court that's doing that. It's the legislature that created the law. The courts are providing the information. The Department of Licensing are doing what they're required to do as administrative agency and suspend the license. So how that happened, that all happened over in the state legislature. What we're here, but doesn't have anything to do with this, believe it or not. Now, here, you're just charged with, as I said, DWLS in the third, failure to transfer title, and a trip permit violation. There's also a no insurance ticket, which is about the most expensive thing. Pleas of not guilty have been entered, which you objected to, and which you can preserve that for appeal. Conditions of your continued release are...
That means, like, objecting to that means you want to plead guilty, basically. Those are the options. Or no contest, maybe, depending on the state.
Don't have any criminal law violations, don't drive without license or insurance, and make all your court dates. And I'm going to give you a court date here in a couple of minutes.
Well, I object to those conditions on the basis that the court is presuming that I'm not allowed to travel in my car.
No, I'm not presuming anything. I'm setting reasonable conditions of release based on the charge, and that's pretty much it.
You're presuming I need a license to travel.
Well, you do.
You need a license to operate a motor vehicle on public roadways. Objectively, that is true.
You need a license to drive on the highway, yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, I have a real quandary here because the court rules state that if I make an appearance...
I have a real quandary. I'm a huge dipshit, but I'm way overconfident. Can you help me?
That's construed as a waiver to any objections to the criminal complaint or citation and notice.
I think you can make any objection. You can raise an objection to your citation notice anytime you want. And if you can, again, note up the motion, and again, put it in writing, supported by law, case law or statute. And if you can convince a judge, which does happen from time to time, there are defective information, there are defective citations, and you can certainly, I've seen cases overturned on appeal because they've gone through trial and then they have an ineffective or inappropriate information, it gets overturned on appeal. So you can certainly object to all that and brief all that up, and you might convince a judge. It's up to you as to whether you can convince a judge that that's worth throwing the case out. But for right now...
I like that he's basically telling me, yeah, you can appeal stuff, but the underlying implication is, it's not gonna do anything. The tone I'm getting is like, yeah, sure, appeal, but, like, the ruling's gonna stand.
I have found that probable cause exists for the case going forward.
Kitara with 50 bits says, good news, the adult version of the $18,000 alpha male boot camp has shut down after turning into an online. The kid version is still around, I think, but it's not for much longer. I actually wanted to cover that. There are some clips that I saved. Depraved Ambiance, we are almost done. Are you sure? I can put on the flower crown, but we're only going to be here for probably another 5 minutes. Or would you like to preserve the points until next time?
Those are the conditions of release. the least restrictive conditions of release that are present. I mean,
You know what? I'll keep the points. I'll just put it on. It's like 5 minutes. Where's my stupid flower crown? Where the fuck did I put it? Life would be easier if I organized even a little bit, huh? Okay, well, I'm glad I rejected the points, because I can't find it right now. I'm sorry, I'll find it before the next stream.
I'm not going to set bail or anything like that. And that's what I expect you to comply with.
I need to state for the record that my plea as of this point is a demurrer. And I also like the clerk to note for the motion calendar, a motion hearing.
Okay, you need to, before you get we're going to give you a pretrial date here right now. All right, it's going to be out maybe about 6 weeks.
I have a tote for all the props, but it's full of costumes and props, so I'd have to search through it, and I don't know if it's in there.
When you get a written motion together, get it in writing, then you can do that.
I'm serving to the prosecutor right now 3 motions. One is a demurrer. They're different titles.
Okay.
I can try and grab a random prop from the prop trunk. Let's see if I get. Okay, random prop. Ash Ketchum hat? Can I do anything with that?
Demurrer and demand for due process. The second one is a demand to dismiss. And the third one is a motion.
Okay, you can go ahead and give that to the prosecutor, file it up here, and we'll set this for a Monday morning motion hearing. Sure.
Okay, I'm handing a copy to the prosecutor right now.
No, actually, she's not the prosecutor.
I
The
mean,
prosecutor's over there.
the
She's the clerk.
He was confusing the clerk with the prosecutor. Oh, that's going good for him. Since when have I had that? Oh, a long time. I used to, before I was out as trans, when I was still in the closet and, like, you know, pre-transition, I was a big hat, air quote, guy. I wore just caps all the time. I had a whole collection of hats I would wear with various, like, logos and stuff on them. But I stopped doing that once I transitioned because I no longer felt the need to hide my identity behind some sort of pop culture ephemera constantly because I'm more comfortable with my identity now. Does anyone feel called out? Or that feeling? Gonna make some omelets in chat. Did I wear Detroit Tiger caps? No, I'm not a sports person.
I'm handing a copy to the prosecutor.
16th of June.
Well, I do like hats, but I more like character hats, like a witch hat or something. It used to be like I'm wearing a hat with Sonic the Hedgehog on it, because I don't have to think about myself as a human being if I cloak myself in the images of a bunch of pop culture bullshit. You know.
So we'll set a motion for June 16th. June 16th on Monday morning. That should be plenty of time for the prosecutor to respond. And we'll give you a notice of that. And then once you get that, you're free to go.
I need to state for the record that I was able to get a copy of your oath of office, but not your official bond.
I'm not required to post a bond. I've never posted a bond.
There's a statute, and I don't have it with me right now, but it says that all employees of the county have to have official bond files. So
obsessed with the goddamn bonds. He just wants to make money off this so bad. H-Bird says, over the last 10 years, I've felt real sympathy for anyone who had a red ball cap they really liked. Yeah. Yep.
I'll bring that next time.
Okay. You know, I will say something here, Mr. Blatt. You know, I've been at this job since 2008. And I've never been requested to post a bond. I don't know that any of my colleagues here have. I'm not familiar with any of the judges in Washington have, which may lead to your some conclusion, but and I don't know where you're getting your information, but you know, I'd be skeptical of a lot of what you perceive. Okay.
Find the statute in the instant. I think the reason you might not know about it is because the state itself pays for your bond. They don't require you to pay for it.
Okay.
The reason it's important is because just as a driver has to have insurance because he potentially could get into an accident, a judge is also in a potentially hazardous occupation where people can get hurt, and that's what the bond is for.
Oh, yeah, that's about as close to a threat as he can get without full-on doing it, huh? I didn't even know if that was his intent, but my god, he could not have worded that worse unless he literally said, "I'm gonna kill you, Judge!" Like,
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
It's analogous to a driver having driver's insurance.
I don't think that's true at all. What do you mean, that I'm in a job where people could get hurt? What?
Of course.
I do remember that, Harold Doubleman.
The only tool the state has at its disposal is violence or the threat of violence.
Are you threatening me?
No. The opposite is happening. The whole apparatus here is to threaten people.
Yeah, man. Welcome to society. It's coercive.
I mean, that's the only two things.
And again, I'm gonna, I will say this. I just think that you're, and for what it's worth, I will try. But you're operating, and I see you've been through this quite a lot over the years, and so you know, I think some of the assumptions you're operating under, you know, may not be accurate. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, let me
And again,
ask you, how are you going to get people into a jail cell? You're going to lure them with candy? Are you going to have them bail, handle somebody that's unwanted touching? That's violence. I'm not.
Yeah, man, the state has a monopoly on violence. Like, I know it's cliche at this point, but man, people really didn't get the memo, huh? I'm not telling you to feel any particular way about it. I'm not telling you to be upset. It just is what it is. That's how basically every government has functioned in human history, is there is some level of coercive violence involved when you step too far out of line of what that society has considered okay or legal or whatever. It's what do you think we are? I don't understand what he thinks human beings are. We are monkeys with a civilization.
Criticizing you for that. We want the state to have a monopoly on violence because sometimes it's needed.
But see, all right. Do you have a cell phone where we could send text reminders of court dates to?
I provided that already.
Okay, great. I didn't realize that. And so if we have it, then you'll get a text reminder of court dates. We'll see you back here on the 16th. I'm going to step off and then I'm going to finish the calendar.
All right.
Well, that was an interesting one. What a frustrating defendant. I don't know why, but in particular, he was annoying compared to other sovereign citizens. Maybe it's because, I don't know, maybe it isn't even him. Maybe it was just because the judges kept it going so long and he kept reiterating the same points. Either way, he's exhausting. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today and watching Sobsit stuff. I did it, chat. I did a 9-hour shift at work and then 3 hours here. I worked for 12 hours. Yay! I'm probably gonna eat now. Alright, let's see who we're gonna raid on Twitch. Let me too, Mr. Blast. I will be back tomorrow. I don't work tomorrow, so I will be streaming for sure. Yeah. So, not sure what we'll be covering. Maybe meme stocks. I might want to cover some meme stock stuff. Anyway, who we raid? Who raid? We raid. We raid who? Who we raid? Raid Cassifel.
What do we do again to put these things away?
Alright. Have a great night, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Stone Corbell with 500 bits says celebratory bits for your long day. Thank you. I appreciate it. Right, Doug Walker? Oh my god, is he fucking on Twitch now? No, someone told me that actually a while back that he was. How embarrassing! Melvin, brother of the Joker. Melvin. I've been awake too long. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.